quick, just got to try to keep farming and hope Evelyn's not waiting in the brush. Pink ward going to be dropped in the top side in the tri-brush as Azumi Shinichi looks to make the play onto Shinoa. Cannon Barrage going to be used. Threaded volley coming through. Fenati looking to get himself involved if he can. Shinoa popping the ghost, heading for the hills. Gordon Ramsay coming from behind, finding the kill onto Azumi Shinichi. Caldero gets himself back and drop the calling onto Soyang. Fenati trying to run himself away. Talisman shall not escape. Fenati will not escape. White Lightning has found 4 for nothing, and now they'll take the dragon.
For the inevitable team fight that's about to happen, they don't just lose off of minion waves.
Indeed. Here, though, comes Miasma comes on. Now, Temper Fate landing on nobody once again.
Look at that trap.
Got their number on that one. Industrious can't go anywhere near this winner. Just rolls into the team. On the hunt, going to get popped. Ace in the hole lands onto McVay's in the backline. He's going to take a chunk of damage. Freebro is doing as much as he can. Thief gets the taunt on a Frosty, but Imtu is in the backline. Winner has slain McVay's in the meantime, and they can't afford to keep this fight going. Trundle is a monster. Flash Petrifying Gaze comes out, doesn't land anything right now, but Pika's going to drop to minions potentially. There it is, Spawn. Going to take a chunk of damage and fall. That's an ace for Syndicate, which means they're going to pick up the Game 3 win and the match heading on to the finals next week against White Lightning in the best of 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Houseparty Premier eSports. It's time for the grand final of this season's playoffs and competitive play. We started off with 6 teams making it to playoffs from the 10 teams that were playing in the regular season, and now we're down to just 2. Coincidentally, they're the 2 who also had the best regular season. Only 2 still left to float in playoffs, and now they're about to face off in a best of 5 to see which one's walking away with the trophy and which one's going home. I'm Captain Flowers here in the casting desk with Deck Club Ace for all 5 games between Syndicate and White Lightning. Syndicate's going to be in the blue starting off game number 1. White Lightning's going to be in the red. And it looks like we're going to be remaking game number 1's lobby as we had a triple client crash from White Lightning to start things off. Deck, while we're handling these technical difficulties, tell me what you think about these matchups, about this matchup between these 2 teams.
So this is actually the matchup that I was expecting to see probably about halfway through the season because, let's be honest, Syndicate kind of roared into the Premier League and just wrecked everyone. They lost 3 games, and really, those 3 games were pretty good games, I guess I would say. It wasn't like a stomp either way. It was very close, and then they turned it around. White Lightning, we know White Lightning. They've always done relatively good. They haven't done quite as well recently as they did when they first came into the league, but they've still been a top-tier team. So, the top 2 teams, I'm honestly not surprised that it's Syndicate and White Lightning, and I'm really excited. I'm actually hoping that we get 4, even 5 games out of this. This would be the second season where we get 5 games out of the final.
Now, one thing I want to talk about here real quick. We're talking about how Syndicate exploded into Premier League, and they actually ended this season with a 14-3 record. White Lightning was second place. They finished at 12-6, so not quite as shiny as Syndicate's looking. But when we look at it as one team versus the other team, and not just these 2 teams standing against the rest of the league that's no longer competing, White Lightning actually beat Syndicate twice. 2 out of 3 of Syndicate's regular season losses are against White Lightning. So if Syndicate is the Superman of this Premier League here for Houseparty Premier eSports, White Lightning definitely has the kryptonite.
Right, you are. And it's weird to say that, too, because White Lightning had 3 more losses overall. They were slightly behind, but because they did win every time against Syndicate, I can only assume that maybe they just have the team comp that works against Syndicate. Maybe Syndicate just plays a slightly different game than White Lightning, and White Lightning plays a game that's slightly better than that. Now, talking about the individual players, now that we're back in the Champ Select, we do have, of course, on Syndicate, we've got Wenner on top side, we've got Tree Bro, definitely jungler, Little Frosty, once again, the mid lane, Promise as AD carry, Alex and Theo as that support. Meanwhile, on the side of White Lightning on the red, we've got Alcantos on top lane, Gordon Ramsay in the jungle, Corrupt Hope in mid, Caldero, who was Christina previously, as AD carry, and Philly as the support.
Now, one thing I want to talk about a little bit here is the top lanes on these 2 teams. Because the top lanes on these teams have not been playing on these teams for the entirety of the season. If you look at the Syndicate roster, Treebro, Frosty, Promise, Alex, and Theo, these are names we've been seeing since this season started. Wiener recently joined the squad. He's not somebody who's been working with them since the beginning, and the same thing can be said for Alcantos on the side of White Lightning. The rest of these guys have been playing for a while. Philly hasn't been there for the entire season, but he's been there longer than Alcantos has, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sure Twitch chat will go ahead and light a fire under me for it. But here's an interesting thing. I'm not even going to go into talking about the players a little bit more now, because this is one of the most interesting things we're going to see in this pick ban. Against White Lightning, every single team bans away Nidalee. Gordon Ramsay, for those of you who are not aware, has a Smurf account that, according to LawSkill, is rated the #1 Nidalee in the world. Not in North America, not in this half of the world, the whole world, because of the ridiculous KDA, crazy numbers, and insane amount of games he was able to carry with that champion. He's absolutely awesome on it. He makes and breaks games with the Nidalee, and we always see it banned away. You pretty much have 2 bans against White Lightning because of that Nidalee. Syndicate, playing from the blue side, decided they're not going to spend a ban on it, but instead they're going to give that over to Trebro and still keep it away from Gordon.
Now the question is whether or not that's actually going to work out for them, because Trebro can play the Nidalee, but I don't know if it is worth stealing away from Gordon Ramsay versus a ban. Although, given they banned Ashura and Vlad, those are all 3 really strong power picks, so if you can even play Nidalee at an average level and still maintain at least a certain level of presence in the game, having to ban away those 3 champions is very useful. We see the Gangplank and the Grog is being picked up for White Lightning here. Gangplank, of course, being, I would argue, one of the power picks of this season so far for Houseparty, simply because anytime we see him, he's either dominating lane or he's just farming away until the team fights happen, and then he blows people up.
So Gangplank is also one of those champions that I'm talking about players being specifically adept at their champions. And as chat pointed out, yes, I know LOL skill is not an actual objective, arbitrary measure of how good a player is. There's a lot of problems with the algorithm. A lot of it makes no sense, but it still demonstrates that a player does well on their champion. It calculates how much they're able to farm. It shows that they have a high win-loss ratio. It shows that they have a high KDA. Although it might not mean he is the best Nidalee in the world, it means he is a damn fine Nidalee player, which I don't think anybody could really argue against that. And speaking of being a damn fine player at a specific champion, Corrupt Hope is a very good Gangplank player, one of his top champions right now. He's been putting in a lot of work on this champion, a lot of practice on this champion, getting down those barrel timings. He's very capable of carrying games. He knows how to farm, knows how to get himself to that point where Gangplank's able to become the hyper carry, and this is a pick I was fully expecting to see.
One thing I was not expecting to see is actually the Taric pickup for Syndicate here as their support. Taric being arguably both incredibly powerful and also kind of underwhelming, depending upon how good you can use him, because his ultimate is easily one of the strongest support ultimates in the game, because it's a Kayle ult that affects everyone on the team that's inside the area of the ult. However, because you have to plan it ahead, it's even more frustrating to use than, say, Echo's Rewind, because the thing is, you have to look out for, okay, maybe they're going to engage on us now, and as soon as you start the animation, you have to go. You can't just start it whenever they engage on you, because you're going to take 2 seconds worth of damage while it's channeling.
And that's something that a lot of players struggle with. And honestly, it was, I can't remember if it was earlier today or maybe it was yesterday. My memory's not being too friendly to me right now. But there was an LCS game I saw where the Taric ultimate was just timed perfectly. Used with a Vladimir, so he was able to dive into the enemy team composition, unleash a ton of damage, not take anything in return. If you can time it right, it completely breaks a team fight. The difficulty is, exactly like you expressed, getting that timing down. The delay is extreme, and you've got to be reading the situation properly. If you take too long, your guy's going to die before the blessing actually connects. If you do it too early, your opponents are going to see it and just say, okay, we're not going to fight. Just let this wear off, then we go back in afterwards. So it's all going to be on Alex and Theo to find those timings and find those windows.
Right, you are. Looking at the rest of the team, we finally have everyone picked out except for what looks like potentially the top laner for White Lightning here. Looks like they may be going over Shen, but we can talk about the Syndicate lineup. They have a very different lineup than what we're used to seeing. There's a lot of variety here. We have the AoE wave clear of the Victor. We've got the potential for ganks from the Nidalee, the roaming and the team fighting potential of the Taric and the Sivir, and of course just the generalist potential of a Gnar. Overall, I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with it.
Gnar's one of those champions I've been seeing a lot more of lately. I've seen him in solo queue, I've seen him in competitive play. For a while there, it seemed like the little Yordle was just kind of dead in the water after being a top lane staple, but now he's kind of working his way back into the meta. So looking at these two compositions, just strictly what we're seeing right now, 10 champion portraits in a lobby, what is going to be the focus, Deck? Are we going to see any one particular lane really be that big of a contest, something that's going to be imperative for one side to get ahead? Or do you think we're just going to see more or less of a lane swap and everybody just plays the objectives early? All right, I don't know what happened to Deck, but it seems like I'm kind of casting this by myself for a moment. So let's take a look at what we're dealing with. Little Frosty going to be pulling out a page from the Book of Gunshin, taking the smite into the mid lane, seeing what he's able to do with that. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on Smite Victor. I actually don't know the first thing about Smite Victor. But he is going to have to make sure that he's doing it the right way because he's up against Corrupt Hope. I already talked about how Corrupt Hope knows his way around the Gangplank. He's got the Exhaust available for that one. Smite going to be traded away now. Victor taking 2 escape summoner spells. I like the Ghost on him, provides him with that extra mobility. Victor, of course, having no escape mechanisms built into his kit, having 2 on his summoner spells, going to allow him to position himself properly in fights and avoid those disastrous scenarios where his opponents might be able to collapse on top of him. Now, both of these junglers have a lot of ganking capability as well. You've obviously got the Nidalee, a fantastic early game jungler, can invade, duel, gank, counter gank, anything in the book, Nidalee can do it. Gragas, also a pretty capable early game champion, sets up all kinds of plays, transitions great into a utility tanky champion as the game goes on.
Can you hear me all right, Flowers?
All right, I can hear you now. Yep, we're good.
Actually, specifically talking about the mid lane, before I guess something went wrong and I couldn't be heard. I was actually going to point out that the mid lane is definitely where the focus is going to be. Because you can't just let Gangplank farm. That's not how it works. We've seen it happen where Gangplank was top lane and they just left him alone. And sure, he's not going to dominate the lane early game, but as soon as he gets to mid game and he gets a Triforce or any sort of damage whatsoever, he just starts destroying his lane opponent and can roam around and can also put pressure with his ult. You can't just leave that be. Now, you can't completely discount the lane swap. I know that it's independent of team comps. I'm not a really big fan of it. I know that you're not a big fan of it either because it's kind of boring to watch, but I'm not really expecting them to do that. I think that they want to farm into the mid game, and if you remove both of those towers on both sides, then it becomes a little bit more dangerous for the rotations.
Hopefully, we won't see a best of 5 littered with lane swaps. I kind of feel like we're going to, though. It seems like usually when we watch these kinds of games, we're seeing a lot of lane swaps for the first few matches, the ones where teams know if they drop the game, they can just kind of go on to the next one. They, of course, have to work from an uphill battle, but they're not completely out of things yet. The situation and the trend that we've seen in these house party games before is lane swap, lane swap, lane swap until somebody gets to match point, and then the lane swaps stop. So I'm kind of curious to see if we're going to see that happen again this time around. Where do you think, let's go ahead and go out on a limb here, Deck, and say that there is no lane swap this game. If you're the junglers, are you focusing on mid mostly, or are you going to leave the mid laners to do their own fight and focus on somewhere else? Where's the biggest playmaking potential going to be, you think?
I'm calling it right now. First gank is going to be Treebro on Alcantos because it's really easy to gank Rumble as Nidalee because he can't really get away from you. But Gordon Ramsay, I'm expecting him to try and get Little Frosty as soon as possible to get Corrupt Hope in a lead.
Well, we'll have to see if that's what they go for. We're 5 seconds away from launching into game number 1. It's Syndicate versus White Lightning. It's the Houseparty Premier eSports Grand Final. And as you might have noticed, we've had a pretty cool rebrand recently, going from Houseparty 5v5 to Houseparty Premier eSports, trying to expand onward, outward, and upward to become a bigger, better, and just generally more awesome organization. And we couldn't do it without our sponsors, Acquire Clothing Company, who puts out all kinds of cool clothing, including a Houseparty Premier eSports line that's going to be coming out real soon, so keep an eye on them for that. Matcherino, a crowdfunding prizing website that allows multiple people, including here at Houseparty Premier eSports, to do crowdfunding for their events. You can make it so you have a much better prize for your tournament, a much more alluring competitive reward for people looking to throw down and make their name known in your competition. So check them out if you're ever hosting an event. And of course, player
disconnected.
Can you hear me?
Yep, should be good now.
Okay, cool. I don't know what's going on with this, but it is not working. So, welcome back to Summer's Rift, ladies and gentlemen. House Party Premier Esports. And of course, it would not be House Party without a pause of some kind.
And of course, we might as well get it all out of the way right now. 29 minutes remaining on the pause timer and 17 whole seconds into the game. Nothing really happening. The chat's not really showing us exactly what's going on so far. Nobody says ready just yet. Hopefully they'll take care of it just momentarily. We'll be right back as soon as the game actually goes live. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. It's game number 1, the House Party Premier Esports Grand Final, best of 5 between Syndicate and White Lightning. Syndicate's going to be swinging from the blue corner this time. White Lightning representing themselves from the red. I'm Captain Flowers here on the casting desk, joined by Deck Club Ace. Deck, how you feeling about this one?
I'm very excited, and I noticed we already had that line of scrimmage. Hopefully that means that we will not actually be seeing a lane swap. It's looking like potentially both teams want to keep their bot lane on bot lane. Now, once again, I want to reiterate, I am expecting Treebro to want to get a really early gank on Alcantos, potentially on Corrupt Hope. It could be possible for him to get a kill on Corrupt Hope, but on Alcantos, it's going to be relatively easy.
Well, we'll have to see if that's what they decide to go for. Both of these top laners, of course, can be mid-game monsters if they get themselves ahead. Look at the fights that happen in the mid-game. Look at how often you see fights happening around dragon pits or in small jungle corridors or potentially around a tier 1 turret based on a dive. There's a lot of potential for equalizers or big Gnar ultimates to come in and completely turn a fight on its head. If either one of these two is able to get far ahead of their lane opponent, expect to see them take control of the tempo of the team fights all throughout the mid-game.
Right, you are. And it's looking like both bot lanes are actually going to be taking their respective bot jungle side camps. Very useful whenever you're in this 2v2. You want to try and leverage for that level 2 as soon as possible. The question is whether or not they'll just give it over to both of the AD carries. Usually you want to give it to both AD carries, but depending upon who you have as your support, sometimes it can be valuable to split that extra gold up, because while it doesn't mean that you both hit level 2 at the same time, it also means that you can leverage that extra level.
All right, I'm not going to lie, Deck. I'm so happy that we're seeing normal lanes as opposed to the lane swap in game number 1. This is a fantastic way to start the series off. Promise and Alex and Theo going to have to be a little bit careful against Caldero and Philly down here. Promise on the Sivir, a little bit lower range than most AD carries are going to have. Tarek, of course, going to be that point-blank range type of a support. They're just going to make sure they don't get bullied around too much early on here. Philly, of course, going to be able to disengage if they try to go too hard onto Caldero. And Caldero just wants to farm up, become that late-game Jhin that's so very powerful right now in the meta.
That's the thing about Jhin, though, is that while his late game is incredibly dangerous, his early game isn't even that much to scoff at. If he gets you relatively low, if he starts stacking procs off of his grenade, dances a few in, and manages to do a lot of damage to you, he can and will kill you.
And that might be one reason why we're seeing so much popularity out of him lately. Jhin has become this AD carry that everybody wants to have a piece of. I'm seeing him picked in solo queue. You're seeing him picked in competitive play. He's very, very good. Partially for the reason you described right there. Partially for what you've mentioned about how he has that insane late game capability where he just starts to two-shot people if he can land critical hits. Corrupt Hope and Little Frosty going to continue just farming back and forth here in the mid lane. And either of these two, I talked about already that the tempo swing the top laners will be able to command if they get ahead. Both these mid laners have the burst and the AoE potential. If they can land it on an enemy carry, whether it's their lane opponent or the enemy AD carry or anybody really, they can do all kinds of work. Treebro here in the mid lane, looking to find the spear, won't quite get it, but he gets those red buff enchanted auto attacks, going to be forcing Corrupt Hope back. No summoner spells burned from Corrupt, but man is he low.
definitely not a position he wants to be in, and that also means that he did not actually get any real trading, and he's going to lose a lot from that. He doesn't have teleport either, so he has to walk all the way back, and I don't know if you've played Gangplank, but walking back to lane, even mid lane, feels really bad. It takes so long to get there.
Especially with the tendency anymore of the way the meta shifted since last season of a lot of solo laners taking teleport. You get used to having it after a while, and it just seems like this long, hard trek whenever you don't have it available. Neither mid laner this game has opted to take the TP. Usually you see at least one person take it. However, Corrupt Hope wants the exhaust for the fighting capability. Frosty wants the ghost to be able to run people down or get himself away if he needs that. So more focus on the micro instead of the macro from these mid laners with the summoner spell choices.
Now, I did say that the gank was probably going to go on Kantos, but I guess given that currently Winner is actually 10 CS ahead of Alcantos and relatively good at farming against him anyway because of the extended range, I guess maybe he doesn't need it as much. They're going for this really early Ocean Drake, very good play from Syndicate. However, they might want to trade over some of that damage to Alex and Theo and not Treebro. He is taking a lot of damage here.
And one reason that I think they would call for this so early is because they did get some really nice Dragon RNG having an Ocean Drake be Dragon #1. That means you're going to get a lot of extra lane sustain. It's going to make your laning phase so much more powerful for everybody involved, just having that extra regeneration, being able to have that extra staying power against your opponents.
Well, more importantly, look at the team comp they have in terms of what they can do with that extra mana and health regen. They've got the range of the Nidalee and the Sivir. They've got the wave clear of the Victor. Getting an early Ocean Drake at this point in the game is way more valuable than they would have gotten out of like Fire Drake or even Earth Drake because it just gives so much more potential in this early game.
And I like the fact that they saw that. I like the fact that they saw how valuable the Ocean Drake was, decided to go for it incredibly early. And with that Drake dead at little over 5 minutes into the game, we're going to see potential for a lot of Drakes to be taken before the Elder comes online this time around. Wiener looking to find some gross damage onto Alcantos here. One more attack, will be able to proc the Hyper. Instead, just going to jump himself backwards. No real worries just yet. 8.4 to 8.6 thousand gold. Still pretty much dead even, with Syndicate finding themselves falling behind ever so slightly.
Alcantos is currently in the midst of getting ganked by Treebro, but I think he's fine. There's a minion wave to protect him from the potential spears, and not much going on. He did get spotted out by a ward, so managed to clear that out nice and easy. Gordon Ramsay, though, actually heading up towards his topside jungle. Looks like
Gordon Ramsay's been farming up a storm compared to his opponent. Treebro's been looking for ganks, looking for invades, trying to find these proactive plays, and it hasn't worked yet. He's still 0-0-0. So Gordon Ramsay's actually up to an 8 or 9 farm lead compared to him.
That's going to be quite useful. Oh, Promise taking a ton of damage from those dancing grenades. Ox and Theo getting caught out once again.
Gotta be careful about that Jhin damage. You warned him about it earlier, Deck. It's going to hurt a lot if he's able to land those 4th hits, especially. Winter's Bite's going to keep coming down. Promise has a Spell Shield, but a Spell Shield's not going to block those basic attacks from Jhin. Level 6 available on both mid laners. Corrupt Hope going to be taking a whole lot of pain. Little Frosty looking for a little bit more. No Ignite on him here for Summoner Spell, so he's not going to have that extra little bit of burst potential he might want to look for a solo kill. Instead, he'll just keep bullying Corrupt around. He's got almost a 10 CS lead, but considering there's quite a few minions built up, it's not quite as extreme as it looks.
So I just want to mention something that just popped onto the directed camera for a second. That Corrupt Hope instant cast Keg Smash kill, or Keg Smash for the damage. That was ridiculous. I don't think people understand how fast you have to react to do that. The keg detonates in about a quarter of a second. So you basically need to be casting it as soon as you are casting Parlay. And he managed to get it as soon as it went off. So that was ridiculous. However, because he had to go for this really early Sapphire Crystal boots, because he needed to get back to lane and have a little bit of movement speed to get away from Little Frosty, that also means that he doesn't really do that much damage with his kegs yet. Yeah, they still hurt, but Little Frosty has a free shield whenever he harasses you.
It's really difficult for Corrupt Hope to actually find damage that sticks onto Little Frosty at this point. That shield's going to negate a lot of the barrel explosion, and past that barrel explosion, Corrupt Hope doesn't have this extended trading pattern. It's a barrel explosion into maybe a Trial by Fire auto attack if Frosty walks way too close. But other than that, you're pretty much waiting until the Victor shield's ready again and your barrels are ready again. So Frosty's feeling incredibly comfortable. 67 to 51 CS, you're seeing that comfort show up in the farm discrepancy. Treebro going to be farming up his own red buff, taking out that enemy pink ward placed deep into his territory. We're seeing a few White Lightning wards go into the Syndicate jungle. Couple from Syndicate responding, but no real crazy plays coming out just yet. Gold's still dead even.
It's very even, and we're not seeing any crazy plays, but a lot of that is just because neither one of them wants to make the first move. They're both playing very reactive, and that's kind of how I expected it to go. I wasn't expecting either team to go really hard early. White Lightning never really plays the early game. They play a lot of the mid to late game. Syndicate are very reactive in their play. Ooh, Corrupt Hope going to have to flash away from that gank flash.
Corrupt Hope having a lot of focus being put onto him here in the mid lane. Trebro realizing what Corrupt's able to do in that gangplank if he's allowed to free farm, if he's allowed to do what he wants. And remember, free farm on the gangplank is a lot better than it is on most other champions. If Gangplank and Victor are both going to be free farming for 25 minutes, and Gangplank's properly doing it, getting the extra gold from the parlay and the barrels through the parlay, he's going to have 1,500, 2,000 extra gold to spend compared to his opponent.
Alex and Theo going to have to back off here. He is actually without his AD carry. Didn't manage to go back. Philly going to keep him here for as long as he can. Look, Frosty keeping Corrupt Hope shoved against that tower, like you said. Alcantos did manage to get a Hextech Revolver, but Winner went for first Item Inspector's Cowl, so he's still going to be able to put a lot of damage onto Alcantos, and Alcantos is going to have a hard time trading back.
Still no kills on the board 10 minutes into the game. Both teams playing game number 1 so carefully today. Both teams want to make sure they start this series off with a 1-0 lead. Going strong into game number 2. They don't want to lose it with any crazy early mistakes coming out so far. We've seen both these teams before struggle in the early game. And we've seen both these teams have fantastic late game comebacks. And I think both of them are trying to shore up that weakness and make sure that they don't have to go through the disgustingly bad early game scenarios that can sometimes happen.
Well, the thing about both teams is that they're very good in terms of their team fighting, their rotations, their decision-making in terms of everything that they do in the mid to late game. Their early game laning is usually okay, but their meta early game is usually a little bit weak. And a lot of that just comes down to the types of players that they are. They're really good at those early trades in the team fights, but if there's not a team fight going on, they don't know what to do. They're used to just relying on everyone else to do everything they need. And once they have a little bit of gold, then we start seeing the plays.
Then we start seeing the plays come down. Philly going to be dropping a couple wards into enemy territory once more. Wants to make sure he's always keeping an eye on where Trebro might be coming from. Frosty continuing to maintain such control here in the mid lane. Still sticking to that 15 CS lead. Corrupt Hope's just going to be scarfing down those oranges, looking to get himself back. He's got the Sheen, so at least he's doing some damage now, but Little Frosty is still 100% the king of mid lane.
And that is not something that you want to do. I'm expecting Gordon Ramsay to want to kind of deal with that in a little bit here because the Fire Drake has spawned, Infernal Drake has spawned on the map. That's going to be a huge focus for both teams because...
Look at all the wards around it.
Exactly. There's wards all over the side of Syndicate. Ooh, Alcanto's going to be taking a lot of damage here in the trade. He's going to have to back off.
Wiener loses his boomerang, though. The boomerang goes flying off into the jungle, so he won't be able to recover that and continue the chase for now, but he will find a solid trade onto Alcantos. Both teleports are available. Nobody had to burn theirs getting back to lane. They're both ready to go, both ready to get themselves down towards that dragon and see if they can make it happen. Gordon Ramsay's already on top of it. I don't think anybody from Syndicate's even aware of what's happening right now, and White Lightning might be able to ninja their way to a free Infernal Drake.
I think that's just very unfortunate because Trebro had to actually back, and Winner just does not have anywhere that he can go. That's actually really big for White Lightning. That's huge because, sure, the Ocean Drake is giving Syndicate a lot of harassing potential in this early game, but as soon as it gets to the mid to late game, Caldero on Jhin and Corrupt Hope on Gangplank are going to do so much damage with that extra % AD.
Yeah, it synergizes so well, and we were talking earlier about how well the Ocean works for Syndicate. The Infernal works just as well for a Gangplank Jhin composition.
Oh, 100%. Especially whenever you consider the fact that sometimes Corrupt Hope won't be able to one-shot the wave. When he doesn't one-shot the wave, that means that Caldero can throw a grenade into it and kill all the minions and potentially hurt somebody. Nice play from Syndicate, though. They decide, okay, you guys got the dragon. That's fine. You're probably going to back off. We're going to go get this Rift Herald. They ended up handing that over to, I think, Winner. So that's going to be really useful for him. He's already winning against Alcantos. This will be the extra push he needs.
Of course, the default for Rift Herald is you always want to pass it off to the top laner, with the tendency of top laners to be taking teleport and always be in that split push scenario, TPing into the team fight only when they're required. Rift Herald buff's going to go a long way, giving them that extra damage reduction. that extra damage spike once the charges are full. Caldero and Philly going to continue pushing up here in the bottom half of the map. Taking a look at the CS across the board, 15 lead for Syndicate's top laner, pretty much even there in the jungle, 25 lead for Syndicate's mid laner, and about a 20 lead for White Lightning's AD carry.
Gordon Ramsay actually going really deep into the jungle here, looking like he wants to, steal away.
Ooh, Trebro going to be juggled back, has to flash towards the wall, going to be first blooded by Corrupt Hope with the cannon barrage going over the wall. Very good play from White Lightning, getting themselves involved in the enemy jungle. Trebro supposed to be the queen of the jungle on that Nidalee in the early game, but his opponents have managed to usurp that throne, take him down, blow his flash in the process. Very good play coming out from them. Nice cask from Gordon Ramsay, makes him force the flash, still have to use the hop over the wall, and the cannon barrage is ready and waiting. Philly and Caldero looking to force the 2v2 down here, finding some nice damage onto Alex, now walking themselves back. TP going to be channeled, both top laners looking to get themselves involved. Wiener going to use the Gnar ultimate onto Philly, up into the wall. Tarek's done after the fact. Alcantos working his way into the fight, but the invulnerability has been cast. Alcantos has to walk away. He's found himself nothing. Game's going to be tied up 1-1. Wiener, Alex, and Promise all getting themselves back. No worries in the world.
I just want to touch on how valuable that Cosmic Radiance was from Alex and Theo, because he basically just countered all of Alex and Theo's equalizer, right? Alex and Theo comes in, really good teleport. He teleports to a trap from the Jhin, so he does manage to get there in time, but because Philly is already dead, because Philly didn't get to use exhaust, he comes in and is immediately exhausted. Okay, he does a little bit of damage, drops down the equalizer, doesn't even matter, because guess what? Tarek's ultimate stops all the damage.
24 to 22.8 thousand gold. Syndicate building themselves a nice lead off of the back of those solo lane CS advantages I was talking about earlier. But remember, Corrupt Hope is still Gangplank. Even though he's down what looks like 35 CS, look at the gold on these guys, plus the kill he's got, means he's still even with Little Frosty.
That first blood extra 400 gold actually put him pretty much even. That's a huge deal for him, and it also means that now that he's got his Triforce, now that he's got the extra damage he needs and the extra levels he has, he'll be able to harass Little Frosty. Little Frosty now needs to be careful, because keep in mind, Little Frosty still hasn't built any armor. He's going straight for the damage, which is exactly what you would normally do when you're bullying a Gangplank, but that also means when Gangplank starts getting ahead, you need to be careful, because he does hurt.
Now let's talk a little bit about AD carry itemization here, because we are seeing Jhin go for the new age Jhin build with the Ghost Blade into the Dust Blade, and that build spikes a lot harder than a traditional crit build is going to do early. Crit builds, of course, usually require the two items, the BF Sword Evolution and the Zeal Evolution, in order to actually start putting down some significant DPS, but Jhin starts hurting as soon as he's got that Ghost Blade. So if there's a team fight that's going to be breaking out soon, Caldero is going to add a lot more to that than Promise is in terms of damage. Now, Promise still is able to cast on the Hunt. He can still get himself involved in the fights, still get his team in there. But in terms of raw damage output, I'm expecting to see Caldero do a lot more.
I am too. I started playing Jhin as soon as he came out, and everybody was like, "Oh, this character's terrible." I'm like, "No, you're just."
I was one of those people.
Yeah,
I am not ashamed to admit.
It's like, oh man, he was so bad. It's like, no, you misunderstand. He is not a utility AD carry. He's not like a split pushing AD carry. He is an assassin AD carry. He does a lot of damage. All of his abilities do damage. That's all he's good at, and he's really good at that one thing.
Syndicate still working with a little bit over a 1,000 gold lead. Teleports spent from both top laners means nobody's likely looking to make a big macro play just yet. Dragon's going to be live in a little over 1 minute. Teleport's going to be up in about a minute and a half. Wiener looking to make the dive. Boulders and slams all over the place. Alcantos under his own turret, but he likely won't even be safe. Cannon Barrage going to be used here in the bottom half of the map. Alex and Theo using the Cosmic Radiance. He'll get away from now, but how much longer is he going to be able to do so? Little Frosty looking to chase Alcantos down. Does not want to let him execute himself. A little bit more. Flashing forward. Little Frosty's got him. Promise trying to walk himself away. Will not succeed in doing so. Caldero going to take his life at the power of the snipe from long way away. 2-2. Game still all tied up.
Curtain Call, definitely one of my favorite abilities in the game. I would argue it's the most satisfying. When you get a kill with that, it just feels so great. But very good play from Little Frosty, roaming up, getting Alcantos down. Overall, I can't really see anything from either team. They're not really giving any away, because anytime something is happening in one lane, there's a response somewhere else. Dragon's getting taken. Okay, we're going to take Rift Herald because you're not going to get there in time. You just took
and that's
bot
why
lane.
these two teams are in the finals.
Right. You just took bot lane. Okay, we're going to take top lane. Oh, Trebro going to take a ton of damage there. They do not want to give up this dragon if they can help it.
This is Infernal Drake number 2. If White Lightning's able to lock this one away, it's going to go a long way towards that Gangplank and that Jhin we were talking about earlier. Treebro down to about half HP. Got to be careful. Infernal Drake is one thing, but Infernal Drake and 2 free kills is a whole nother beast. Alex and Theo successfully walking himself away. Alcanto's going to be looking to defend the mid lane turret. Will not successfully do so. Victor looking to bring the burn. Little Frosty going to be caught out. Damage coming through. Corrupt Hope bound up in the gravity field. One mid laner's already down. Corrupt Hope getting himself away ever so barely. Slammed up into the wall. Both solo laners dead for White Lightning. Double kill for Wiener. Now he's going to be shot to pieces by Caldero's Jhin unless the Taric stuns. Able to keep him alive. Caldero flashing forward to find the kill and seal the deal. 2 dead on the side of Syndicate. 2 dead on the side of White Lightning. Deck, neither one of these teams can ever find an edge.
I was going to say, it was like, oh, this is so good. They've got so much potential here. And then suddenly, White Lightning turns it around. Like, Alcantos and Corrupt Hope die. Okay, but Caldera is still at full health and can do a lot of damage. So, oh man, that was so beautiful because Caldera actually waited. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get the 4th shot off. And unfortunately, Alex and Theo did not have Cosmic Radiance up. He didn't have another heal up in time. And Winter was so low that if the 4th shot ever hit him, he was 100% dead. He has no armor now. He does have a little bit. But point is, he has to deal with that, right? He has to worry about all of the damage that's coming out from Caldero. And I don't know if he can. He has to jump on top of him, but then he also has to worry about Corrupt Hope. He's got to worry about Alcantos. It's dangerous.
A lot of fun to watch.
He's got so much to worry about.
These fights are a lot of fun to watch so far. If this game is any bit indicative of how the rest of the series is going to look, I think this is going to be a really fun series to see. It's very close as well. Like I said at the end of that last fight, still 4-4. Every time somebody dies, they get a kill in retaliation. Although, Syndicate's got themselves a nice 3,000 gold lead built up off the back of their CS. They're now winning in every single role except the jungle, which is dead even. Alex and Theo going to be caught out a little bit here. Caldero looking to bind him up with the power of that W snare, and he still got him. Killing spree for the White Lightning 80 carry.
Tried to pop that Cosmic Radiance, but it didn't come soon enough. Unfortunate. 2.5 seconds doesn't seem like a long time until that's 2.5 seconds of you being dead.
Little Frosty going to be separated from the team, not quite into the range of the Deadly Flourish. Cannon Barrage going to be called down to make sure Corrupt and the rest of White Lightning can get themselves back safely from the retaliation of Syndicate as they try to hold the line here on the Tier 1 turret. Damage going to be coming in very, very rapidly. They got to be careful about this one. Wiener on the flank. Philly going to be taken low. Couple more auto attacks. Is going to burn him out. They're able to find him. Gordon Ramsay now in a whole lot of trouble. He's going to be killed now too. Double kill for the AD carry on Syndicate's side. Alcantos looking ahead for the hills, but will he even make it? Boomerang continue to come down, and Rumble will not escape. Treebro is able to claim that one. 7-5, Syndicate.
Syndicate edging out a very slow lead, trying very hard to not throw anything away. They're slowly whittling away at White Lightning. They're showing any advantages they have. They're going straight for this Baron. This is a very risky call.
This is very risky, but if it pays off, it's going to pay off huge. If it bites him in the butt, it's going to bite him in the butt pretty big too. Corrupt Hope over the wall with these barrels, looking to make some kind of a very big impact. Corrupt Hope and Caldero got to play this just right. Baron going to be taken low. Here comes the burst. Treebro securing it. Corrupt Hope now in some trouble. Over the wall goes Wiener, looking to burn him down. He's got the damage. Corrupt Hope's going nowhere and going nowhere fast until Philly shows up, able to keep him safe. Now Corrupt Hope's dead. Caldero's looking to run himself away. Philly's caught in between the entirety of Syndicate. Frosty's going to take him out. Wiener bound up before he can chase anybody else down. Smashing success for Syndicate.
That was so unfortunate for White Lightning. They potentially could have stolen away, but because they didn't have vision in the pit, they couldn't actually see how low Baron was. They just had to guess. And because of that, they lost Baron. Then Corrupt Hope is a little too close to the wall. Instantly gets jumped on. He's going to die. They almost turn it around, but everyone wasn't quite there in time. And by the time everyone got there, Corrupt Hope was low. Caldero suddenly was low. So they had to trade 2 and Baron for nothing.
And you got to feel bad for Philly, too, because he jumps in there. He almost makes the saving play onto Corrupt Hope, almost keeps him alive, but then Syndicate denies it and takes him down for even more extra gold. 44,000 to 36.5 thousand. What was a very close game has quickly become Syndicate's game to lose.
When it's only a lead of about like 1 to even 3,000, that's not really that large for either of these teams. But whenever you have that lead slowly adding up. Goes, okay, we get another 500 from this team fight. We get another 1,000 from this team fight. Suddenly, it adds up really fast. Next dragon's going to be spawning in 1 minute. That's going to be another Ocean Drake. So at this point, White Lightning could just give it up. They don't necessarily have the room to get it. Syndicate getting another Ocean Drake will be huge for them because that's even more sustain in their poke. And they've managed to do so much with that so far.
Little Frosty and the rest of Syndicate have pushed up into White Lightning territory, and they're looking to make sure that it will not stay White Lightning territory for long. It's 5 turrets compared to 2. Syndicate's map control, based on turret count alone, is already pretty intimidating, and they're looking to make sure it goes even further. Gordon Ramsay, Alcantos, and Corrupt Hope got to use their AoE wisely if they want to properly defend this, but it's still really, really hard, Deck, because they're staring down the barrel of a lot of Baroned-up minions.
They're staring down the barrel of tons of minions, and top and mid are currently pushing in their favor. But how long that remains to be seen. We'll see what's going to happen here. I'm expecting a dive soon. Like, Corrupt Hope is super low. Philly is below half health.
Corrupt Hope's got to get back.
There's no way he can do anything now. He has
Corrupt
to
Hope's gone. And with him, so is the turret. That's going to be the final turret outside of the enemy base going down. And now Syndicate is taxed with the old school house party dilemma. How do we break that enemy base? How do we actually get past that inhibitor line and make it so we can work towards ending the game? 4th dragon of the game going to fall. It's 2 oceans to 2 infernals now. There's going to be 1 more dragon spawning before the Elder shows up, and it will be the 3rd ocean.
Here comes the On the Hunt from Promise. Not really going to get much off of that. Really just to kind of scare away Alcantos. At this point, it's got like a 70-second cooldown or something like that, so you can totally throw it away. I don't really expect them to be doing anything in the next minute or so that's going to require the ultimate from Promise. And it's already almost halfway up again anyway.
Baron buff's almost out, so it's not like they're going to be looking to siege up right on the enemy doorstep. It's pretty much there. Yep, there it goes. Minions are going to be powered down. Stats are going to go back to their normal levels. White Lightning's going to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because they're kind of at the do or die point now. If White Lightning doesn't find some kind of an amazing play, some kind of an amazing comeback, if Syndicate gets another Baron or breaks open one lane with an inhibitor turret and inhibitor combination and a couple kills to go with it, the game's over.
All right, well, at this point, I don't even know what they could do with that because they need to catch someone out. They need to make a pick because there's no one person they could focus in the team fights. They have, if you look across the board for Syndicate, Wiener's doing very well. Little Frosty is also ahead. Promise is ahead. Even Treebro, despite the fact that he wasn't power farming as hard as Gordon Ramsay, is now ahead of Gordon Ramsay.
All right. Syndicate's got to find the way to lock this game out quickly. Because remember, we're in a best of 5. It's not just about winning the game, it's about sending a message. Gordon Ramsay and Philly looking to send a message and engage on their opponents. Treebro going to be caught out a little bit. Cosmic Radiance keeping Syndicate alive for the time being. Little Frosty looking to find the angle on a Caldero. The burst comes through, but Little Frosty's going to be juggled around by Ramsay, and they're able to take down that Syndicate mid laner to start the fight off. Wiener looking to chase down Alcantos, not quite able to find him immediately. Philly going to be chased away from Promise, who's now going to be in the middle of a White Lightning sandwich, and they are looking to find an AD carry. 2 dead on the side of Syndicate, but the shutdown on a Caldero means the fight's not over just yet. Syndicate's still got 3 ticking, but White Lightning's got bigger health bars. Alex and Theo going to be shot to pieces. Wiener's still running. He's the last man alive on Syndicate. White Lightning finds their fight.
That is a hell of a win for White Lightning because if you look, they were behind by so much. That lead, while it is still pretty big, it just went away by a little bit. They need to do that a couple more times. They split up Syndicate so well. They managed to pull everyone away, and it looked almost for a second that Gordon Ramsay had doomed Caldero by knocking Little Frosty into him. But Caldero was totally prepared for that. He does a lot of damage. He had his flash up, so he flashed right out of it and managed to kill him with the Duskblade proc. Between that and turning around and sandwiching the entirety of Syndicate between all the damage they had left, sure, Caldero was dead. At this point, Philly was dead. But so what? Corrupt Hope and Alcantos are still alive. They still do damage. It's just they don't do as much damage as the rest of the team. But when the rest of the team is all low, so what?
Promise found himself in the middle of a White Lightning triangle of death. There was nowhere he could run. Run up the lane, you're blocked. Run back in the lane, you're blocked. Run to the jungle, you're blocked. And Promise is dead. Not a spot he's looking to get himself out of. 53,000 to 46,500. So that gold lead now closed by about 1 or 2K. Not exactly what White Lightning needs to come back and immediately be in control of the game, but definitely a step in the right direction.
I wouldn't even call it a throw just yet, but
Syndicate's still in control. Don't get us wrong. Syndicate is still in a spot where they are ahead. They are the ones deciding how things are happening. But like we just saw, if you give White Lightning the opportunity to pull the trigger, if you give Philly and Gordon Ramsay the opportunity to jump in there, isolate somebody, and begin the fight the way they want to, they're absolutely going to take it.
100%. The thing about the way things are set right now with the team, there's a huge lead on the side of Syndicate, right? But they have 4 towers over White Lightning. Going straight for this Baron. Syndicate going for the really risky play. They have been spotted by wards. They know they've been spotted by wards.
Oh, this could be a disaster. With Corrupt Hope and Alcantos on 2 champions that can put down so much AoE in the pit, if Syndicate gets caught out, it's going to be a nightmare. Gordon Ramsay going to be eating some auto attacks from Wiener here. On the hunt, going to be popped. They need to go after this enemy jungler because that's going to mean that Baron can't be stolen away. Promise taking him down. Equalizer called in, but it's not going to get a whole lot of damage onto anyone. Lock out of the Iron Solari, going to block off the damage as they make their escape, and now they know there's no cast into smite combination looking to steal things away. Beautiful ultimate coming out from Corrupt Hope. Promise is going to be killed by the Cannon Barrage before Cosmic Radiance is able to keep him alive. It's 4 versus 4, and Syndicate's health bars are looking really, really sketchy. Over the wall come the barrels. Trebro walking himself back still. Corrupt Hope with a fantastic kill into Promise. Promise walking himself back, trying to avoid Caldero's ultimate, but he doesn't notice the Cannon Barrage still ticking, and on the very edge of the range, he gets gunned down before the Cosmic Radiance connects.
That was such a huge miscommunication, misplay from Syndicate. Corrupt Hope managed to get a full team Cannon Barrage with the big shot from the upgrade. That's ridiculous. It does so much damage, and it slowed them all, which meant that as soon as that happened, Caldero just started unloading.
Just opens it up. Curtain call.
Curtain call, start firing. Okay, the only way that we can run is we have to run all the way around towards the top side entrance of our jungle, which means they take so much damage on the way. In the end, the best thing that could happen was one person dies.
Syndicate now only working with a 6,000 gold lead, and they got to be a little bit concerned about the way this game has been heading for the last 5 minutes. White Lightning is making a definite recovery. White Lightning is saying, we're scaling. We've got Gangplank. We've got Jhin, and you guys have a clock that you're working on. Because as this game goes on, we're just going to start deleting health bars before you have anything to say about it. Final dragon of the game that is not an Elder, live now. It will be Ocean 3 if Syndicate's able to find it. White Lightning looking to maintain control. Barrel's going to be blocked away before they can be chained up. Good eye from Syndicate, not allowing Corrupt Hope to find that combination. Wiener and Trebro looking to lock the Ocean Drake away. Gordon Ramsay wanted to get in here. Who's going to steal it away? It's Trebro securing it. Health bar is going to be melting all over the place. Equalizer called into the middle. Promise going to be isolated once more, and White Lightning has found the Syndicate 80 carry alone. Cosmic Radiance coming in. It'll keep him alive in time. Gordon Ramsay's going to be killed by the Boomerang Blade. Alcanto's taken low. Caldero is low. Nobody dead on the side of Syndicate. Philly's about to fall. Alex and Theo still in hot pursuit. Shut down on a Corrupt Hope. Philly still heading for the hills. Promise takes his revenge, and Syndicate's found 3. They're heading straight for Baron, and nobody's going to stop them.
That was so insane from Syndicate. They managed to actually turn around a fight that we thought was going to go the way of White Lightning 100%. I was convinced that White Lightning was about to get that. They had the perfect firing line. They ripped through so much health, but Wiener went straight in. As soon as he was mega, as soon as he was about to run out, he jumps, throws a boulder, jumps right on top of Caldero, and uses that Gnar to interrupt the curtain call. He only got to fire 1 shot. That's so much damage that was missed out.
And I was talking as this game began about how the top laners haven't been with the team for the same amount of time that the rest of the teams have been playing together. Wiener is showing that Syndicate had a mistake early on in the season by not having him already. This dude is having such a fantastic performance so far that Syndicate has got to be glad they picked him up.
I was also very happy to see the Cosmic Radiance actually get to save somebody. It did work that time. We did see the sunglasses of safety land on top of both Alex and Theo and his defending unit, and it was so beautiful. I've so very rarely seen that. Corrupt Hope taking tons of damage here. He's totally dead. Goodbye. Don't even have time to say anything. He's just dead.
Yeah, Corrupt Hope's just instantly killed right there. That's what you got to be careful about on the Gangplank. You've got that. You are the glass cannon. You can completely destroy people with 2 hits, but at the same time, put yourself in a compromising position, and you're going to have the same thing done to you. 4-4-4, still not a bad score, but he's got to be careful about those situations. A Baron up Syndicate team is looking to push into the bottom lane now. They've got a 5v4 for 25 seconds. Inhibitor turret number 1 going to be taking some pain. Equalizer already used. Promise going to be taken low, but Cosmic Radiance is channeled in time. Gordon Ramsay finds himself in the middle of 4 men already invulnerable up. Slammed up into the wall they go. Wiener looking to make the plays once more. 3 dead on the side of White Lightning. Wiener still walking himself out. He will die, but his team has already found the success they need. Alcantos, the lone man standing. Corrupt Hope going to be respawning in just a moment, but it's still a 2v4, and Syndicate has broken the White Lightning base.
I am so impressed by Wiener's play so far. So he had an okay early game, right? He was bullying Alcantos, but we were expecting that anyway. As soon as the fights actually start, as soon as leads start slowly being developed, he's put so much into this team. Alcantos taking tons of damage there. Goodbye. Blown up before he can even do anything.
Syndicate on the Nexus. Turrets have fallen. Corrupt Hope is down. And Syndicate takes game number 1. Forget Trump. Forget Hillary. Wiener for president 2016. He just took Syndicate all the way to victory. And they're heading into game number 2 with a 1-0.
Wiener 100% earns MVP for that match. I can't even think of another person to give it to. He did so good. Every time we saw him diving in, he was accomplishing something.
Stick around, guys. We're going to be right back in just a moment with game number 2. White Lightning and Syndicate still have a long way to go before a winner is crowned. Keep it here with Houseparty Premier Esports. Welcome back, guys. We are here for game number 2 in this best of 5 between White Lightning and Syndicate for the Houseparty Premier Esports Playoff Grand Final. Whoever wins this best of 5 is going to walk away the Houseparty champion for this season. Syndicate went up 1-0 after game number 1. It was a pretty close match, but they showed why they were the number 1 seed throughout the entire regular season. Now White Lightning's got to prove what they're made of and look to tie the score right back up. White Lightning's going to be on the blue, Syndicate's going to be on the red. I'm Captain Flowers here on the casting desk, again with Deck Club Ace. Deck, what are your thoughts about this one?
First thing I want to point out is that Syndicate did actually ban Italy this time because they don't have first pick, so they're acknowledging the fact that maybe we shouldn't let Gordon Ramsay have Italy. Second of all, I'm super excited for this match. I was expecting it to be close. I wasn't expecting it to be like super close for a large chunk of the game and then suddenly spiral out of control. That was amazing, specifically because there were some moments where it seemed like Syndicate kind of miscommunicated what they were going to do, and White Lightning capitalized on that, and that was really good of them because White Lightning was so far behind. But because Syndicate managed to turn that around, specifically Wiener, he did so good. Every time we saw him jumping in, he just destroyed people.
And White Lightning has got to be a little bit more aware of what happened last game that allowed Syndicate to run away with the match. Syndicate's solo laners, like we saw, were just passively farming more than White Lightning was. And if the enemy solo laners are just going to out-farm you, when you have a game that has no first blood for 14 minutes, you might have to be a little bit more proactive early on in the game to make it so they're not able to just build up those advantages. White Lightning going to lock in the Jhin for Caldero again. He did a fantastic job on it last time. We saw a lot of fights go White Lightning's way because of his performance on that champion, and they want to have him reprise that role.
Oh, man, the Jhin first pick is going to be very good for them if they can manage to build a team cup around it again, especially now that there's not the Nidalee to jump on him. I'm kind of curious if they're going to take Gnar away from Wiener. I'm not actually sure, because I don't know if Alcantos could beat Wiener with Gnar. Now, what they're going to pick remains to be seen. A lot of the bans are basically the same. The only things you see differently is the Nidalee and the Victor being banned out. But those are two very key bans, because while Little Frosty wasn't in the spotlight, he did so much damage because he was just allowed to do damage throughout the fights. He did so much overall.
Gragas going to be picked up for Trebro this time around. With Nidalee taken off the table, they're saying, hey, you take my jungler away, I'm going to take your jungle away. Gordon Ramsay's going to have to play something different this time around as the Karma is picked up. Likely going to see that one put onto Frosty.
Karma being picked up, not too surprising. Karma in her own now, which is kind of weird saying because a lot of people previously thought Karma was not a very good support. Turns out that a support that does a decent amount of damage has a fairly strong self-sustain in the form of a tether, and also has a potential AoE, shield, and movement speed boost for her entire team, is kind of useful.
White Lightning, what are you expecting White Lightning to pick in this second round of picks, Stick?
So normally I wouldn't even say White Lightning would pick an early game team comp, but this seems like the situation to put into. If they want to flex their muscles and try and show off that maybe they can get that early lead and kind of snowball out of control, maybe they want to do that. But at the same time, they just came off of a loss where they were playing something safe.
Cassiopeia.
They're going straight in and going for the Cassiopeia. I am completely wrong.
I respect it.
Well then, in that case,
Now, one thing I'm going to say, I've never actually seen Corrupt Hope play this champion. I've played a lot of games with Corrupt Hope. He's a guy that I've played a lot of duo queue with this season. Never actually seen him play Cassiopeia. This is going to be fun.
I totally agree. I'm curious to see what he's going to do with it, because I know that I've seen a lot of Cassiopeias just go straight on and do so much damage and be such a pain to deal with. They also have a really good overall wave clear because of their ability to spit out those Twin Fangs really fast. Now, it's a little bit risky to pick up against Gragas, because Gragas can kind of counter up Cassiopeia, can knock Cassiopeia into the team, and once Cassiopeia is in the middle of the team, that's a problem, because Cassiopeia wants to get you when you're running towards her, not whenever you're having to deal. Ooh, the Zed pickup.
Little Frosty getting to play his trademark. When this guy first started playing in Houseparty, what I remember hearing about him is you gotta ban Frosty Zed. Don't let Frosty Zed. Don't give Frosty a team comp that he's allowed to play Zed into and won't get punished, because Frosty is the Zed. I'm happy to see this pick locked in.
the Zed into a Jhin and a Cassiopeia. He's got 2 delicious targets to dive on, and since a few months ago, QSS does no longer remove the ultimate mark. So now, as a Jhin, you're pretty much dead if Zed decides he wants to kill you, because he just jumps right on top of you and does a lot of damage to you. Sure, you might be able to win a little bit of a trade, but he'll just get you down to half health and then teleport away from you.
Now, who are you expecting to see as the final pick on the side of Syndicate? Because I'm not going to lie, I was thinking that Karma was going to be the mid laner, but with Zed picked up, that's obviously not the case. So we could see top lane Karma, or we could see support Karma. Yes, we're talking about players picking up their trademark champions this game. We're seeing Little Frosty on the Zed, and we're going to get to see Gordon Ramsay on the Evelynn. I'm excited about this, because those of you guys who weren't here for the semifinals last weekend, in their game that White Lightning played, the final game of their best of 3 against Never Clucky, White Lightning picked this Evelynn. Gordon Ramsay's trademark champion, one of the champions he originally climbed to high ELO with, and just completely decimated the enemy top lane. Set him to like 0-6 to start the game off. And then Alcantos and Gordon Ramsay, because Alcantos was playing Fiora at the time, they just ran away with the game. A fed Fiora and a fed Evelynn just walked around one-shotting everybody, and there was nothing that Never Clucky could do about it. I want to see if Gordon Ramsay's able to pull the same kind of tricks and the same kind of snowball against Syndicate.
I'm kind of agreeing with this Gnar pickup for the top lane for Wiener. Once again, he did play it very well last time. It'll work just as well in a team comp like this, even better, arguably, because now you've got you have a super squishy mid laner who only has one form of crowd control, and that is her ultimate. And you also have the fairly squishy jungler. Evelynn is kind of tanky. You can build her slightly more tanky, build her as that AP bruiser if you want. But for the most part, until she ults, she's not super tanky. So it's going to be very interesting in this early to mid game. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with this, because last time we saw Gordon Ramsay, I even called it. I was like, oh man, he's not going to be ganking that much early. He's going to be trying to farm up and get a slight advantage because he's got good farming. Nope, he went straight into ganking. He ganked constantly the last time we saw him play this.
And we already talked about the Zed for Frosty. We talked about the Evelynn for Gordon Ramsay. Let's talk about the Mundo for Alcantos. I've seen this guy play a lot of games on Mundo. I've seen him carry a lot of games on Mundo. Mundo might not be in the meta right now, but let's be honest, neither is Evelynn. So White Lightning, they're following their hearts, Deck. They're playing the champions that they know they can carry with, that they know they are adept at. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that works against a squad like Syndicate, because playing something that's not exactly meta, but that you're particularly good at, can work very well against a team that doesn't know how to deal with it. But Syndicate has shown throughout this season, both regular play and playoffs, that they are a top-tier team. So are they going to know exactly how to respond to Mundo? Are they going to know exactly how to respond, especially to this Evelynn? That's what I'm looking to answer.
The thing about playing Mundo in top lane is even when Mundo is not in favor of the meta, like when we had ranged top laners where it was like Sandra and Jace and all of those, Mundo goes where he pleases. He doesn't care if he's in meta or not. He just builds tank and continues doing whatever he wants. So he'll still be a terror. Whether or not he can solo everyone on the team remains to be seen, but he's going to be able to at least be a threat against these guys. He's got to be careful overall. Gordon Ramsay is going to be wanting to get those really early ganks onto Little Frosty and onto this bot lane, because last time they had a little bit of a problem. They got the early dragon, right? But then they gave up the really valuable dragons. So,
and when we look at exactly the team composition on Syndicate, what kind of damage these guys are putting out, there is some magical damage threat. There is Alex and Theo, there is Trebro, but the two big damage sources are both physical damage. And Wiener's going to be contributing more damage than Trebro or Alex and Theo is, and he's also physical damage. So Alcantos is going to be happy building a Spirit Visage to resist Trebro and Alex and the hyper damage from Wiener, and then stacking armor. And Frosty and Promise and Wiener are going to have a very difficult time actually bursting through all that.
I would be surprised if we didn't possibly see like 3 armor items on him. I'm looking for like Randuin's Omen, maybe a Dead Man's Plate. If he's feeling a little bit frisky, he can throw a Thorn Mail on top of that. Thorn Mail against Lucian
Frisky
and Zed.
Mundo.
Frisky
There's your
Mundo.
next skin idea, right?
Oh man, it's like a Mundo wearing like one of Evelyn's outfits.
I don't after the remake, not the remake, the redo of all the skin art, all the different loading screen splash art, everyone's got a lot of really risque loading images. I was actually kind of surprised at how lewd some of them were.
Personally, I just want to see Mundo wearing the Tango Evelyn dress.
That could be an interesting skin. Make no mistake. 15 seconds away from game number 2, guys. It's White Lightning in the blue, Syndicate in the red. Here at Houseparty Premier Esports Grand Final, sponsored by Acquire Clothing, Matcherino Crowdfunding, and Player.me social media network. Keep it right here. We'll be back in just a moment on Summoner's Rift.
Welcome back to Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Houseparty Premier Esports Premier League Finals. White Lightning versus Syndicate. Syndicate, 1 win in their belt, trying to get another win here. White Lightning trying to shore up their defenses, picking this nice line of very, very comfortable champions. Everybody on something that, if they aren't known for playing it all the time, they're at least known for playing it very well often. I am Decla based on color. Joining me is Captain Flowers on play-by-play. Once again, looking like we're going to have potentially, hopefully, that 2v2 bot lane.
Deck, I'm so happy. This just puts a big, goofy old smile on my face. Seeing the bot laners go into bot lane, the top laners go into top lane. There's so much more potential for variance. Like, you can actually see the junglers head to different places. You might see the mid laners make a rotation. You might see a mid laner get ganked. It's not just, oh, trade the turrets, swap to the other side of the map, trade the turrets. All right, everybody farm. PvE, 25 minutes, golden to go. I love watching actual lanes square off like this because it really lets you see exactly how the players themselves match up against each other too. The 1v1, the 2v2. There's that opportunity to outskill and outsmart your opponent.
Lots of opportunities to be had, and it's looking like this time... Oh, very interesting from White Lightning. They're actually not going for that really early kill onto the Krugs. They're letting Syndicate take the jungle camp, and they're going to try and ambush them for a kill. Oh, I kind of hope this works just because I want to see them actually like start out on a good foot. If
nothing else, they get points for being cheeky.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. The only way they could have made this even more amusing would be if they went like Blitzcrank.
This is like the old school, the Season 1 cheese with Ashe Sona sitting in the bush when Ashe had the passive crit that would charge up over time, and you would just put Ashe Sona in the bush and look to one-shot the guy. Sadly, they weren't quite able to find the damage they're looking for, so Caldero and Philly just going to be sitting up shop here in the lane. Promise taking all the EXP from the Gromp, already going to be hitting level 2, so Caldero and Philly not exactly looking for any violence so far.
The big issue for White Lightning was that Alex and Theo actually kind of predicted that. He was like, okay, maybe they might do this. Alex and Theo getting called out.
Alex and Theo going to be bound up. Death sentence. A little bit more coming through. Ignite going to be cast. Alex walking himself away. No big deal so far. Caldero and Philly showing they're not afraid to make the plays. And Thresh is one of those champions, deck, that I really like watching in the support role. Because no matter what he's doing, offense, defense, utility, roams, anything in the game that can be done by a support, Thresh can do it. And a person who's really good on Thresh is just making plays 24/7.
Makes me wish that I was good at Thresh and not Janna. Unfortunately, my hooks
never
never
one
land.
of those guys. You're a dirty Janna picker.
I'm a dirty Janna player. I do not understand why people do not ban Janna. But anyway, the thing is, they got a lot of damage on Alex and Theo, and they did a decent amount of damage to Promise with that trade. But because they did the damage to Alex and Theo, he just got to use health pots. So overall, they really want to catch out Promise. They want to force him, because Alex and Theo does have some kind of sustain in the form of that tether, and also has more health pots to start out with. So he's got a little bit more to work with early on.
All right, taking a look across the board at things, we're seeing a early CS lead for Wiener. in the top side, which is absolutely what you expect to see. Gnar versus a pure melee champion is going to go Gnar's way, and if it's not, Gnar's got a couple of problems, personal problems, that he's going to have to take care of if he wants to continue actually being viable. So Alcantos is just going to be farming up for a while. Briefcase after briefcase into the minion wave. Wiener should always have a CS advantage in this matchup, from the way I'm looking at it. Speaking of CS advantages in the mid lane, we're also seeing Corrupt Hope take a nice lead, as Little Frosty's going to have to deal with that melee versus ranged fun for a little while, at least until he can find those explosive trades as he gets his items.
We've got the sneaky Gordon Ramsay lurking around, trying to bait.
Philly's got the flay, a little bit more damage coming through. Philly's likely going to be killed here. First blood goes over to Promise. He's going to lose his life for it. Caldero takes that one. Gordon Ramsay looking to find the kill into Alex and Theo now. Flash not available for the support on Syndicate, but he's got his jungler nearby. Treebro's going to show up, make sure that they won't be able to find a 2-for-1. Promise realizing he was dead as soon as he saw the Evelynn. There was no way out of that one. He wanted to make sure he got the kill first. He gets the first blood money for himself, gets the assist for his support, still dies, but if you're going to die, you might as well take somebody with you.
That's the best thing that could have happened there for him. He was 100% dead. Even if he'd flashed away, right? Gordon Ramsay has flash, Caldero has flash, Philly has flash. So either way, he was still going to die, so he gets as much out of it as he can. That's the best you can ask for as an AD carry. In the very least, at least Alex and Theo didn't get the kill, because that means that now Promise gets to come back, full health, has some items on his belt, no problem.
Now, one thing that I'm going to be looking at in these team fights as the game goes on, Corrupt Hope's Miasma has the new grounded effect, the thing that makes it so you're not actually allowed to use any sort of escape mechanisms. And that's going to be useful against multiple people on the side of Syndicate. No hops for Wiener, no dashes or belly slams or whatever you want to call them for Treebro, no dashes for Promise. And I want to see, again, throwing this back to the fact that I don't know Corrupt Hope as a Cassiopeia player, how well he's able to place those and make it so he can cut off key Syndicate escapes and initiations.
It's going to be very useful for him. One thing about the Cassiopeia, he is probably not going to opt to go really early on for a lot of armor, because they usually go for a little bit more mana for spamming their spells. But he's going to want to get a Zhonya's as early as he can. He's against a Zed. Zed will easily kill him if he's not careful.
And especially a player who's known for Zed. This isn't a guy randomly picking Zed because he saw, oh, an immobile mage, I better pick Zed. This is great. This is Little Frosty. He's known for Zed. He's known for being able to play it well. He's going to know how to do those 1v1s to be able to find those easy kills.
Now, one thing I do want to say, though, about that matchup, a thing that a lot of lower-tier players don't know, but as you get along, you kind of figure it out, process of elimination. Gordon Ramsay, once again, coming to gank here. I might have to get back to this.
And this is what we always see from Gordon. He picks a lane and he sets up shop. He sets up the tent, makes sure that the camp is strong, and tries to get that lane so far ahead that it removes the enemy players from the game. Promise looking to find another kill onto Philly, not quite able to connect with it. Dashing under the turret, going to be taking 2 shots. Flay isn't there from Philly. One more auto attack might just get him, but they bait Promise in. They found 1 kill. Gordon Ramsay looking to find number 2. Alex and Theo going to fall from Alcantos' TP. White Lightning doing a fantastic job with the bait. I don't know if that's what Philly intended when he flashed forward and missed the Flay, but that was a perfect outcome.
He was trying really hard to pull it into both Gordon Ramsay and Caldero, but unfortunately he didn't quite get it. But because of that, it worked out. Whatever. And they get a dragon of them. This is so good for them. They get 2 kills, they get a dragon, an earth dragon really on, which is going to be really useful for securing the later dragons and also the barons later. This is so good for them.
And you were talking earlier in the previous match about how the Infernal Drake is so nice with Jhin because he does so much damage. Ooh, Treebro gonna be bound up by that deadly flourish. Alcantos still in hot pursuit. Looking to file Gragas under dead with those briefcases. Won't quite connect all the damage he needs. Promise looking to get himself over the wall. He extends way too far. Gordon Ramsay's going to find him caught out. Caldero looking to grab himself a killing spree. Treebro drops, and White Lightning is taking it to Syndicate early on in this game. Wiener looking to come in. Deadly flourish onto him, getting himself involved. 3-4-man Gnar ultimate, but Wiener's still in the middle of a rock and a hard place. He dies, but not before bringing Alcantos with him. Little Frosty not quite able to get on top of Corrupt Hope how he wants to. Caldero going to open up that curtain call once more. Not going to be shooting at Frosty, instead taking a couple pot shots at Alex and Theo. 6-2 White Lightning. I don't know what Promise was doing there. That was a really, really questionable play.
So I think he was actually expecting Treebro to be able to offer a little bit more in terms of peeling for him, but as soon as he was there, he was dead. Like 100%. He doesn't have flash yet. He had to jump over towards them to get into the fight, and as soon as he was there, he couldn't get over the wall anymore. So I'm not actually sure what he was thinking there.
That was just Promise doing his Swifty cosplay, dashing right up into melee range on Lucian. That's how all the pros do it.
Do we get Vayne spotting points for spotting Lucians that do that?
Yeah, of course. It's the transitive property of AD carries. Vayne, Lucian, it's all the same deal because you're a ranged auto attacker. It works.
That's right.
Little Frosty forcing the trade on a Corrupt Hope here in the mid lane. He's got the ultimate, he's got the Ignite available, but he's got to be careful. Corrupt Hope low on mana, but not completely out just yet.
That reminds me, one thing I was going to say before that series of events happened in White Lightning's favor is this mid lane. The thing about playing Cassiopeia versus Zed is, sure, Zed ultimate's really strong, but if you're really good and you can predict when Zed's gonna ult, you can actually, as soon as he starts ulting you, just ult backwards, because he always appears behind you.
Yeah, if you time it frame perfect, he won't have the chance to turn himself around and avoid the stun. You can hit him as soon as he lands from the Shadow Teleport, as soon as he's done cackling with his mwahaha. He lands, you time the ultimate, it hits him immediately, and you burst him.
And Cassiopeia being one of those champions that can burst him. And as soon as that stun runs out, Corrupt Hope brought Exhaust. He is prepared for that engage. So, White Lightning, in a dominating position this time around, sure, the lead isn't a huge one in terms of gold, but they've got a lot of positioning advantage. They had some good wards they just threw in that right now Trebro and Alex Theo just had to clear out. On top of that, they got the first dragon. They've got a ton of kills under their belt. Gordon Ramsay flexing his muscles, 100% kill participation on both Gordon Ramsay and Caldero.
And this is what I'm talking about. Who needs meta when you have mastery? And I don't mean that goofy rating that gives you an emote to flash above your head. I mean real mastery and understanding of a champion. Gordon Ramsay showing why he's an Evelyn player so far in this game. Corrupt Hope going to be ganked from Trebro. Here comes the flash into the body slam. Frosty able to find the kill. He's going to be bound up by that petrifying gaze, but it will not matter. One more turret shot would have been required, but he's got some quick feet and gets himself away to safety. Alex and Theo going to be scaring Gordon Ramsay off. And even though Syndicate's down 3-6, the gold's still even, Deck.
Gold's still even because of that farm. Meanwhile, Gordon Ramsay doing all his kills. Trebro's been farming up a storm. He's got a good 20
50
CS.
to 30.
That's
pretty crazy.
Sizable. Like it's we saw last game there was an okay farm advantage going the way of Trebro over Gordon Ramsay. It's looking like that again. Or sorry, vice versa. Gordon Ramsay was farming very hard as Gragas, and Trebro was ganking a lot. So it's like they kind of swapped roles. Gordon Ramsay ganking all the time, and Trebro farming.
The Gragas player just always ends up farming up a storm, apparently.
I say that, but Gordon Ramsay has done quite a lot in the past. Oh,
here's Gordon Ramsay once more. Frosty's going to throw himself backwards, flashing over the wall. I don't know what exactly the goal of the flash was. I don't think there was any way for him to really get himself away here. Almost able to find the kill onto Gordon, but not quite. Gordon going to take that one with the hate spike. 7-3, White Lightning.
Gordon Ramsay actually almost died because he wanted to give that kill over to Corrupt Hope as much as he could, but Corrupt Hope did not have flash to jump over the wall. Frosty, I guess maybe he thought he could possibly 1v1 Gordon Ramsay if Gordon Ramsay got there faster, because Gordon Ramsay is faster than Corrupt Hope. 100%. Corrupt Hope has no boots, has no movement speed ability, and Gordon Ramsay has boots.
Well, he can't buy the boots. He's Cassiopeia.
That's right. He's got a tail. He can't buy boots.
Yeah.
I forgot they changed that.
Yeah, they made it so, and I feel really bad about that Cassiopeia change, because I don't know if you ever saw it, but there was a guy on the forums who was like a top tier 3v3 player, and he only played Cassiopeia in threes. He was like a Challenger threes player that only played Cassiopeia, and the name of his guide was "I wear a boot on my head, how to be a good Cass." But now he has to change the name of his guide because you can't wear a boot on your head anymore, because Cassiopeia is not allowed to buy boots.
You could wear a cup on your head, buy a chalice.
I guess that's fair, but that's no fun, because now a chalice is a support item. You can't even wear the cup on your head.
Ah, that's true. They changed it to support item.
You just gotta wear a tier on your head, I guess.
So it's looking like things are kind of winding down a little bit of ganking going on, but Gordon Ramsay showing his face down bot side again. Dragon's gonna be spawning soon, but it's a Cloud Drake this time around, so not gonna a lot going on. Trebro
looking to show up and get the same success he got last time. Corrupt Hope going for the ultimate, but he will not land it onto Little Frosty. Trebro still looking for a little bit more damage. The barrel is down right before he makes it to the safety of the lantern. Frosty looking to be brought down now by Gordon Ramsay and Alcantos together. Wiener going to be juggled around a little bit. Caldero can't quite land the flourish he needs, but White Lightning makes it a 1-for-1.
In the end, it's still mid laner for mid laner, still fairly even. Philly tried so hard to save Corrupt Hope. He threw the lantern out.
He was
Trebro
so
getting caught
close,
out.
too, and now Trebro's almost going to be caught out. Deadly Flourish comes in. Curtain call called down. One more shot will take him. Alex and Theo doing everything he can to block those bullets away. Alcantos might just be killed by Wiener if the hyper triggers. Alex and Theo picking up the kill as Wiener now has to run all the way away. Flash forward from Caldero. The shield from Alex and Theo might be able to keep his top laner alive. Caldero can't catch up. Fantastic support play.
That was insane. Alex and Theo barely managing to
That's why Alex
save.
and Theo is a master tier support. That was just phenomenal.
It was so... Oh, Promise, you are dead.
Promise. Gonna be popping the heel.
Maybe not.
Piercing light keeps himself alive, and that's the problem with Eve. Eve is very, very capable if she can get the jump on you and burst you down before you can retaliate, but she is so squishy. Her defensive base stats are pretty much that of a minion.
Unfortunately, Trebro farming up a little bit more before he decides to back kind of low, but at this point, he knows Gordon Ramsay's bot lane. He's not in any danger whatsoever. Overall, not a lot traded. We do see right now, despite the fact that there's a 3-kill lead for White Lightning, Syndicate does still have the lead because of that lead in farm in both top and jungle.
Syndicate can't be feeling too bad about that. I mean, you're not down in gold, but you're down 8-5. Still no turrets taken 15 minutes into the game. Dragon number 2 is live, and he's a Cloud Drake. And you got to feel bad for poor old Cloud Drake. He got a ridiculous boost. They actually made the buff 66% stronger, and people still don't care about him. Last game, when it was Oceans and Infernals, everybody was killing him on spawn. Earth Drake, he got taken down pretty early this game, too. Cloud Drake shows up, nobody wants to join the party. Feels bad, man.
I feel for Cloud Drake, right? Because as someone, once again, who played a lot of Janna and who has played a lot of high mobility champions, having a lot of out-of-combat movement speed is really good. It's highly underrated, but it just doesn't have the same visual impact. Just to make us liars, they're going straight for the dragon.
Just to make us liars, it's time to head into the Dragon Pit. I do it for you, Cloud Drake. I Caster's Curse just so somebody will give you the respect you deserve. Dragons are tied up 1-1 now as Syndicate finds that one no contest. Gordon wasn't quite close enough to be able to go in and attempt some kind of a steal. And even if he did, he didn't have his flash available to go over the wall and take a dark passage back. Wiener and Alcantos 1v1ing once more. Little Yordle looking to pull off the kite game, but the Mundo ultimate's been popped. Wiener still looking to chase him down a little bit. Couple more boomerangs will get him, and Wiener burns him through the ulti.
Alcantos highly underestimating how much damage the proc from that hyper is. It is a lot, okay? Most of his trading in the early to mid game is proccing that. It's not auto attacks, it's not boomerangs. It's all hyper.
Not to mention, if you're playing up against a tank like Mundo is, they're going to build armor against you because you're Gnar. Little Frosty looking to make the kill on a Corrupt Hope here. He's going to be bound up by the power of the Petrifying Gaze. Trebro looking to find that help. He will secure the kill on a Corrupt Hope, but Corrupt making it a 1-for-1. Grabbing the style kill onto Little Frosty. Promise with the flash away from the ultimates. Gets himself away from the curtain call. Fancy feet there. Going to make sure he keeps his life.
Philly trying really hard to keep him inside that. Gordon Ramsay sneaking up on
showing
him.
up right on time. Promise is done, so.
Flashing that emote with some respect. That was so good. He just manages to get him down before he even realized he was dead.
So what we were looking at there in the mid lane was Frosty getting burnt down by Corrupt Hope, then trying to turn things around. Corrupt Hope still manages to kill him. Trebro at least shows up to make it a 1-for-1, so they do go even overall. But that actually does favor the side of Syndicate, because they got kill and assist compared to just a kill. Frosty at least did burn his Ignite. Corrupt didn't burn his own exhaust, so now Corrupt's going to have that edge in the next 1v1. But Corrupt Hope has Rylai's Crystal Scepter completed now, which means he's got a whole new degree of obnoxious interaction with his champion. He's going to be able to keep people slowed forever with Twin Fang on top of Twin Fang.
Exactly, and that tier is a little over halfway stacked. He's working on potentially getting that into a Ceres as soon as possible. Frosty's got to be careful. Anytime he walks forward, he's going to take a little bit of damage and potentially eat a lot of Twin Fangs.
Poison going to tick onto him. Frosty walks himself away. Let's take a quick look at the farm. Very even on 80 carries. Very even in the mid lane. About a 25 advantage for the Gnar top side, which, again, we were kind of expecting to see that. But look at the jungle. 99 to 60.
He's getting
Tree
caught
Bro
out. Gordon
able to
Ramsay, you're
find
in
Gordon
trouble.
Ramsay away. He flashes, but he's already got Zed looking to take him down. Deathmark has appeared over his head. Little Frosty looking to get himself out of the miasma. He's successfully done so, but he will not escape from Caldero. Caldero finding himself kill number 4. 4-0-4 on the Jin so far. Opening up the curtain call, looking to lock these guys down long enough for Philly to flash forward and find the hook. Alcantos is here. Trebro looking to be burned away. Corrupt Hope's got to be careful. The tether's still ticking. Flashing back he goes. Wiener's able to find the slam onto 2. Philly going to be shot by Promise. Death sentence over the wall. Locks him down a little bit longer. Alcantos and Corrupt looking to turn this one around once more. Alex and Theo still running away with the rest of the team. Syndicate looked like they might have found some decent success for a while, but now they're going to lose their support. Wiener and Trebro got to be careful about this one. I don't know what Trebro's trying to accomplish, but Alex and Theo is dead in the dirt. White Lightning goes up 12-8.
Looked like it was going to be 100% theirs, but turned around. They did manage to get 1 kill off that. They got Gordon Ramsay. He did come back, but
now the fight's
overall,
breaking out again. Another beautiful hook from Philly. They bring down their opponents 2 at a time. Double kill for Caldero. 6-0-5 on the Jin. 11 out of 14 kill participation. That's what, like 79% kill participation? That's crazy.
That's ridiculously high kill participation. And on top of this, I don't even know what to say. There's so much going on now because White Lightning is leveraging their lead. They're trying to get these kills, and still, they don't really have one. They look like they have a lead. But because of the farm, and because of the little bit of extra gold they got from that tower kill, Syndicate is still ahead by about 800 gold. And it's weird, because Syndicate's ahead, but White Lightning is still winning the fights.
White Lightning's winning the fights off the back of some fantastic death sentences from Philly and some awesome damage from Caldero. I'm realizing why this Jin's being locked in now 2 games in a row for them, and I would be very surprised if we don't see Syndicate respect it with a ban in game number 3.
I'd like to at least see them ban it or potentially pick it up for themselves because it does a lot of damage. We saw Little Frosty manage to get away, but he got away while a projectile was chasing him, and it was a Jin crit. So he lost what remaining health he did have. Ramsay going straight into the jungle.
Promise and Alex got to be careful here. Gordon Ramsay is not playing a tanky style of Evelyn. He's going for the full greedy, burst you down kind of a build. So he'll explode if somebody looks at him wrong, but if he gets the drop on his opponent, he's going to make sure he burns through their health bars real quick.
Just going to do a little bit of trade with Trebro, not too much. I don't expect that this fight will go on long. There is currently Little Frosty in the mid lane getting pushed to his tower constantly now, as expected.
So looking across the board, we're seeing Mundo kind of go for what was expected, right? He's got the Ninja Tab, he's got the Sunfire Cape, stacking the armor. He will go for a Spirit Visage because he still does have some magic damage threats. But after that Spirit Visage, I expect to see his remaining 3 items just be armor, armor, armor.
That should be the way to go. Corrupt Hope going to take a lot of damage here.
Trying to wait and save that ultimate, but he won't do so successfully. Corrupt Hope falls for the 4th time this game, 2-4-4, as Little Frosty evens up his kill-death ratio, 4-4-1 here on the mid lane Zed. Still down about 20 CS, but with Ghostblade and Hex Drinker ready to go, almost able to upgrade the Hex to a Maw. Corrupt Hope's still in a pretty rough spot. No Zonia's available yet either, but working on it.
Not the position you want to be in when an Infernal Drake just spawned, so
oh yeah, that's a
it's going to go straight over unless somehow Caldero can steal it away. But looks like nope, straight to Syndicate.
That's good timing from Syndicate too.
Very good timing. They managed to get a kill off. One thing I want to say though, Crypto needs to be a little bit more careful in the mid lane. He's doing somewhat well, but the problem is every time he gets a kill or gets some sort of lead, he also dies for it, right? So he gets a kill on Little Frosty, but then dies. He gets another kill on Little Frosty, but then dies. So Little Frosty's died the same number of times, but Little Frosty also has more kills.
14-9 White Lightning, but a 2k gold lead for Syndicate based pretty much entirely off of the 2 turrets to 0 lead they have in terms of objectives. Wiener still looking to chase Alcantos down a little bit harder here. And look at Wiener's itemization deck, an item you would normally never see on Gnar. Executioner's Calling picked up solely for the split push.
So I want to talk about that because he picked up both the Frozen Mallet and the Executioner's Calling solely so he could chase down and kill Alcantos, and it's been working for him. Sure, we see Alcantos has some kills from the team fights, but overall, if he's in lane against Wiener, he can't do anything. He has to walk away because Wiener will just proc hyper after hyper after hyper. Gordon Ramsay hiding in the wings here. Oh no, that's Corrupt Hope.
That's Corrupt Hope. Corrupt Hope's looking to set up the trap. And that Frozen Mallet is going to do a lot of work, even outside of the Mundo 1v1, because he's chasing down 2 immobile carries. He's got a Jhin and he's got a Cassiopeia. If he's able to stick them with Frozen Mallet after Frozen Mallet, he's going to make sure that he's able to never let them get away. Alcantos looking to run himself back now. Wiener's going to be paralyzed. Trebro dashing himself into the fight. Cass comes down, a little bit more burst. It's a 1-for-1 as Trebro looks to walk himself away from Corrupt Hope, but he's got to be careful. Fang after Fang heading his way, but they really don't do a lot of damage.
They don't do that much right now. He does have 2 bits of MR. Mid lane
Promise
fight
with
going
the
on
flash
though.
over the wall, trying to stay alive, but Gordon is right on top of him. He's flashing the emote at the same time. Promise just stops. Caldero godlike off of that one.
At a certain point, just like, I'm dead. I'm 100% dead. There's nothing I can do anymore. I'm dead. But in the top side, though, Corrupt Hope not doing any damage here because he doesn't have any penetration at all, and that's a Spirit Visage and a Negatron Cloak and Merch Treads on a Gragas.
That's a lot of magic resistance on the Fat Man.
He is
as
paying
White Lightning
huge respect
heads
to that.
down the mid lane, but they've got to be a little bit concerned about their bottom lane. Little Frosty playing the split push game like Zed likes to do.
And when you have a slight lead as Zed, the way to go is to see if you can 1v1 basically anyone on the team, and if the answer is yes, push down. Because you can usually escape everyone else, and if they send 2 people to fight you, that's 2 people that aren't in a fight.
So if you're Syndicate, Deck, you're down 10-16, what's the call to make it so you stop losing these fights like this? Because the fights have not gone Syndicate's way at all.
The fights haven't gone their way, but it's weird because their capitalization of objectives is better. And I think that that's actually going to be very telling in the next, 5 minutes. I'll give it 5 minutes. I'll call it in 5 minutes.
5 minutes, all right.
Running.
It's 25:09. At 30:09, we're going to check in.
So I am expecting that they are probably going to turn it around because they're going to realize that they have a 2K gold lead or about a 1K gold lead, 1.5K, and they can start leveraging that. They've been slowly realizing that as they've been killing Corrupt Hope and killing Alcantos. So maybe they might start killing, like, I don't know, Caldero, who their team comp is really good at killing, and they haven't done that for some reason.
Yeah, they're still staring down the barrel of a 7-0 and 5 Jhin. Ghostblade and Dustblade both already completed. Going to be looking for some lifesteal next. And as he gets stronger and stronger, Syndicate's ways to kill him are going to become weaker and weaker. Promise sitting on 1-6-0, not exactly where he wants to be. Frosty has to run from Gordon Ramsay. Gordon's got plenty of help nearby, so Frosty can't just turn around and look to make the kill happen. Flashing away from the deadly flourish. Frosty will live, but he pays for it with his flash, as Promise, Trebro, and Alex and Theo look to take down the mid lane outer turret without any minions nearby, and they're barely going to tickle it.
They're barely going to do any damage to it, but to be fair, Trebro didn't actually take any damage from the tower either, so it was pretty much free damage in their case.
Now, Deck, I gotta ask you, what do you think about the itemization from the Gragas? Because it's something that we've been seeing a trend of lately, and it's a Guardian Angel on 2nd or 3rd item. How do you feel about this on junglers and tanks?
So I actually really like Guardian Angel as a 2nd or 3rd item on tanks in general. And I used to do that for a while. I stopped doing it whenever the way to go was like building Dead Man's Plate because it was so good.
Oh, baby, here comes the fight. Gordon Ramsay going to be in some trouble. He's brought down, immediately just exploded. That's what we're talking about, the danger of the glass cannon build. Corrupt Hope looking to swoop in, make something happen, but Wiener's in hot pursuit. Trebro looking to find him too. The cast knocking him right back into Syndicate's loving arms. Wiener's still looking for more. Caldero's trying to stay alive, but here comes little Frosty. Shurikens come through. One more auto attack. He's found the shutdown. Philly will be the next one to go. Syndicate's found 4 for nothing, and Wiener wants to make it 5. They've got to dive out Contos. They've got the Executioner's Calling. They've got the Morellonomicon, and they've got their ticket punched for an ace. Alcanto's still barely alive, but Syndicate finds a clean 5-0.
Wiener surviving with basically no health at this point. He's got, what, 2 bars? That's a little over 200 health left. Yeah, that was insane because it looked like it was going to be a really good fight for White Lightning. And then I guess Syndicate finally realized, hey, we have a gold lead. Maybe we should like bait them and then collapse on them. And turns out that is exactly what they should do. They turned it around and they immediately got a kill. And then they got a bunch of other
3
kills.
minutes before you even said it would have to happen, Dak. Good prediction.
I know, right? And the best part is that that they're still not technically ahead in kills. Still got plenty of time to just make it even more of a lead.
So
Oh, man.
Gordon got blown up at the very beginning of that fight. You could tell White Lightning wanted to turn things around. Like, they had the TP coming in from Alcantos. They were like, okay, let's just punish Promise, kill him immediately, and then we're going to turn the 5v4. But then that plan just gets turned on its head because Gordon's the one who dies immediately. Infernal Drake will go over to White Lightning, tying that up 2-2. Now they got to be careful, though. Philly might just be the target. He's a little bit isolated from the rest of the team. Caldero is the one they really want, though. They finally put their first death onto him. Looks like he's going to be going for that Bloodthirster third item. The shield and the lifesteal will do wonders to help keep him alive. But now the outer turret, the final remaining outer turret on the side of White Lightning is going to be Syndicate's target. Wiener tries to go for the slam, only finds it onto Philly, and with that off the table, these guys might be able to find something else. Corrupt Hope's going to be juggled around a little bit, but because of the dive pressure onto the back line of Syndicate, they can't follow up on the pick Trebro wanted to make. Corrupt Hope still looking for a little bit more damage. Curtain call coming through. Corrupt Hope going to be cold almost completely. Piercing light is not required when you've got the Ardent Blaze. Alcantos still walking around, still flaming all over the place. If he can manage to find himself any kind of damage onto anyone, hook onto Trebro as the Syndicate train has no brakes, and they're looking to pull into station. Alcantos and the rest of White Lightning still have to try to maintain this defense without their mid laner. Trebro wants to make the dive happen. Here comes Little Frosty into the back line. Wiener looking to do whatever he can. Deadly Flourishes won't really bind up anybody in time to save the turret. Promise is doing a good job laying down the DPS, keeping himself out of those dangerous situations that he kept falling into earlier and earlier and earlier. And now the game's tied up in kills. 16-16 with a 7,000 gold lead for Syndicate.
16-16, and it's ticking on time. They've got quite a bit going for them. Wiener, very good play in that fight near the end. He did actually go in and force the rest of the team to acknowledge his presence, back off, and just give up the turret. Potentially, if they managed to get a fight onto the turret, they may have been able to win it. They did still have quite a bit going for them. Corrupt Hope was coming up soon, so they would hopefully be able to do something with that. But unfortunately, not much going the way for White Lightning. They looked like they had the lead, and that's going to be devastating, right? They had, what was it, an 8 kill lead at some point, a 10 kill lead, and then it's slowly whittling away because they actually didn't have more gold.
So look at the, by the way, I just think this is kind of funny. If you look at the atomization between Little Frosty and Promise, not only is it all the same stuff, it's the exact same slots, and that's pretty entertaining.
Slots. It's same slots, the only difference being the boots, and honestly...
Yeah, the boots are a little bit different, and then you have the extra items. Looks like Frosty's going to be going for... Is that going to be a QSS, you think?
I wouldn't be surprised. QSS would actually be really good. He keeps getting hit by Corrupt Hope now.
Promise in a really, really questionable spot. Right after I got done praising him for having better positioning than he was having early on in the game, he's going to be caught out a little bit. Little Frosty, you got to be careful. Looking to make the dive on a Caldero, but he's only shut down in his own right. Billy going to be killed here. Promise still alive. Alcantos juggling around. The knockups and the control from this Syndicate side are right where they need to be. Deadly Flourish won't hit Promise. Only grabs Alex and Theo. 2 dead on the side of White Lightning, 1 dead on the side of Syndicate. Even though they lose their mid laner, he makes a fantastic distraction. Corrupt Hope, Gordon, and Caldero all have to stick together to make sure they bring Frosty down in time to keep everybody alive, and in doing so, they lose their 2 isolated members. Philly and Alcantos just get juggled around and shot by Promise until they aren't really able to maintain themselves any longer. Trebro looking to make the dive, won't quite connect with it. Barrels continue to come through. Damage pouring into this inhibitor turret as Promise needs to put as many auto attacks onto it as possible, but he's still got to be careful. You're still dealing with a very fed Jhin who's very, very problematic. Promise going to go ahead and run himself completely out of the curtain call range. Wiener's still in full retreat, and Syndicate decides to back away.
So we do see right now on Alcantos, he does have both a Randuin's Omen and a Sunfire Cape. He's got another Cloth Armor. I can only assume that that's going to be built into potentially a Thorn Mail. We'll see what else he actually builds into. It could also be a GA. GA would also be acceptable against a team comp like this. And on the topic of tanks for GAs, GAs on tanks, it's a very strong item. We see right now, Trebro is so tanky, he's so hard to kill. And if you do manage to kill him, he comes back with 30% of his health.
59.5 to 52.6 thousand gold means a 7k gold lead for Syndicate. And considering how well they were performing when they weren't even ahead in kills, when the game looked like it could go either way, now you're just looking at him to run away with stuff. You've got the Gnar having plenty of itemization completed. He's got the Frozen Mallet, the Black Cleaver, the Spirit Visage. One thing you got to be a little bit worried about, though, if you're Wiener, no real big armor. Yeah, he's got Warden's Mail, but that's half of an item, and you're still dealing with a 7, 1, and 6 Jhin. Caldero is key for White Lightning to be able to find a win here.
That's true, but he does have almost 3,100 health, which on a Gnar is pretty big when you're in mini form. As soon as he goes Mega, that's a huge boost to his health. Ooh, here's the catch.
Catch coming out. Philly and Corrupt Hope both in some trouble. Promise going to go ahead and pop the QSS, getting himself to safety. Death Sentence went through over the wall. Trebro going to be caught out, but that's not the guy you want. Gordon Ramsay popping the zone, just keeping himself alive. Alcantos into the back line, trying to grab Promise. Saved is Gordon Ramsay by the power of the Dark Passage. Blue turret destroyed this entire time. Frosty's not in this fight. Syndicate's holding their own in a 4v5. Curtain Call's going to come out. They're still looking for more damage. Trebro's going to be taken low. He's likely going to be killed. Wiener's going to be the next target. Curtain Call has no more bullets left in the chamber. Trebro is buying time. Frosty's knocking on the door to the base. Shut down. But what does it even matter? Stop the ports. Stop the backs. Don't let him go home. Corrupt Hope can't quite channel his back in time. Alex and Theo and Wiener still running around with barely anything. Gordon Ramsay pops out of the shadows, but he's not able to do anything with it. Alex and Theo looking to keep Philly here. Wiener jumps over the wall looking for the kill. They found it. Deadly Flourish will not find any sort of revenge as Little Frosty's still sticking around topside. Got to be careful. He's got so many White Lightning members looking to take him out. Chilling Smite going to be used. Gordon Ramsay now might be in some trouble. Little Frosty looking to make the escape, but Caldero's still there. He's got the Ghost Blade, but Zed's got the same. Frosty's going to make his escape, and Syndicate looks for their dragon.
So, oh man, that fight for Syndicate was so good. Got so much out of that, and all of that while Little Frosty wasn't even there. He's so valuable, and they didn't even have him in the fight. He was busy getting 1, 2 towers, getting a lot of damage onto that inhibitor, and we saw Alex and Theo incredibly low. Promise, incredibly low. Wiener, incredibly low. All of them almost getting killed by the Curtain Call multiple times, and Alex and Theo barely getting blocked so that he wouldn't die to the 4th shot. Overall, Syndicate doing really well in these fights, leveraging that lead that they now realize that they have. Sure, they're only 1 kill ahead, but they're 1 kill and 5 towers ahead.
It's a good time for Syndicate. They're outplaying White Lightning, not just on a micro level, but on a macro level. White Lightning still keeping the gold lead down to about 7,000. Gordon Ramsay looking for the flank here onto Little Frosty. Frosty popping the death mark to get himself out. Wiener jumping into the middle, looking for the ultimate. He's only got a few seconds remaining to actually use it before the Gnar bar dissipates. Really going to be taken low. Alcantos taken low. Gordon Ramsay trying to stay alive, but he's juggled into the back line once more. There's going to be no escape this time around. Tries to take Frosty with him, but he doesn't quite have the damage. Zonia's Morello Nomicon, Runic Echoes, and Haunting Guys. Lots of damage built onto Gordon Ramsay, but against a Maw of Malmortius and a QSS and Merc Treads, there's a lot of magic resistance on Frosty too. Syndicate's taken down the enemy jungler, and now they've set their sights on Baron.
The classic call. What's that? Jungler's dead? All right, time to do Baron. At this
Jungler's
point in the game,
dead, go to Baron. That's the
At this
call.
point in the game, it's 100% worth it. There's not really much that, even if they wanted to, White Lightning couldn't get there in time. And if they started the fight, sure. Little Frosty's not there yet, and he's just busy like farming up the jungle. But there's nothing they can do. Trebro is incredibly tanky. Even tanking Baron up, he didn't even take that much damage. He's level 17. He's got a full level over Gordon Ramsay in XP.
And White Lightning has now found themselves in a really difficult spot once again. They've got to somehow hold the line, except the line isn't exactly as strong as it needs to be. You've already got one inhibitor exposed because of that earlier fight where Frosty found the successful split push. So if Syndicate wants to, they walk down top lane into your base, say, hey, we're going to take this inhibitor unless you want to fight for it. And when you're 10,000 gold behind and your opponents have Baron, you don't want to fight for it in open ground.
Not at all. And they've got the Baron wave pushing up. They've got the Zed in the mid lane. Looking like this time he's going for that tower. Might even just
Gordon's
straight
rushing
for a
to
kill.
get back to the fight, and he's going to have to go quickly because Promise and the rest of Syndicate are already here looking to continue this push. Miasma going to be laid down, zoning Promise away for now. Death Sentence only grabbing a minion. Syndicate's just waiting for their chance to pull the trigger. Corrupt Hope's going to be doing as much zoning, as much control as he can to try to manage this push, try to get rid of Syndicate, get them out of that base. But Wiener's not looking to turn around just yet. Deadly Flourish comes out, won't connect onto anyone. Death sentence onto Alex and Theo, but they don't want to go on the support. You've got to catch Promise. You've got to catch Frosty. You got to catch somebody who does the damage. Inhibitor already down as Syndicate's found their first target in this push. Little Frosty going to find the second one, immediately bringing down that next Inhibitor turret. And it's almost like clockwork, Deck. These guys are an assembly line of destruction. As they take down the Inhibitor, and Frosty says, all right, we're done with step 1, here's step 2. Hit this one now. He gets himself away to safety, sets up his team, and Syndicate is just moving like a machine. Death Sentence comes out, connects on the tree row, but again, he's way too tanky. What are you even going to do? Look, he took no damage from the follow-up from that. Philly continuing to fling those Death Sentences out, but there's still no opportunity for White Lightning to do anything too crazy off of it. Syndicate's found 2 Inhibitors for nothing, and now they're marching down to the bottom lane to continue to push in the last remaining lane.
I was just about to say, too, they were keeping all of White Lightning focused in their base. They kept them there while this wave was building bot lane. They cultivated 2 waves, one for mid, one for top. They went in for the mid lane. They had Little Frosty harassing on the mid lane. They went straight for the top lane, got that Inhibitor, got everything else down. They're going to take a lot of damage here, but overall, it's not really going to matter. They've got a decent-sized wave building up for them. Another wave coming in soon. This is exactly what they want. They're getting so much value out of this Baron that they basically got for free. They got a kill and Baron for absolutely nothing.
Wiener finally going to be caught out by the power of the Death Sentence, gets himself out of the miasma in time to jump away. And now Syndicate's looking for their opportunity to seal this game away. 3 Inhibitors is what, like 98% chance to lose the game? Syndicate wants to make sure they secure that certainty.
It's like 93, 94%, I think. It's pretty
All right,
high.
I overshot it a little bit, but it's still insanely high.
You can come back. It's just usually it's because they overstep their boundaries and die.
Trebro looking to make the gank, looking to make the dive. It's not even a gank. It's a straight up kill onto Corrupto. The mid laner from White Lightning already dead. Everybody from Syndicate still ticking along as Philly's taken low. Alcantos rampaging around in the back lines, but he doesn't do anything. Beautiful 3-man Gnar ultimate into the wall. They found the kill into Gordon. They found the kill into Alcantos. And Syndicate's looking to find the win here in game number 2. Caldero bound up by Alex and Theo. Big time crit comes in. He takes him out. It looks like Syndicate won't make their game-winning push just yet, but they've got a huge amount of minions taking down the Nexus turrets. Wiener may have fallen, Alex may have fallen, but White Lightning's base is a ruin, Deck.
So here's the problem with playing Jhin. Your wave clear isn't that great. Sure, you've got your mines, they do a decent amount of damage, but they're relatively small, so you have to work really fast. One thing I want to say, Caldero with this Bloodthirster did so much in that fight. He got put down to half health from Little Frosty just on the engage, and then within 2 shots is back at full health. He leveraged a lot of damage with his curtain call. He managed to get Alex and Theo, who stepped a little bit too far, having no armor. I don't actually know why he continued harassing Caldero. I guess he didn't see that the 4th shot was already in the chamber. Elder Dragon, though, is spawned. We see both Trebro and Promise there. They're going to be able to get that down with relative ease, both of them having GAs. Both of them active, too. I just noticed Trebro's GA is active again, and Promise just bought one. I will be surprised if we don't see potentially a GA being picked up on Little Frosty as well.
I mean, GAs are one way to win the game and make it so you don't have the potential to throw when you otherwise would. Elder Drake going to be burned away by Syndicate, and now they've got a real burn on their side. Man, this is a bad time to be White Lightning. Nothing standing in the base except for a Nexus.
And you have a full health team that you've barely been holding your own against that now has, what is that? That's 2 dragon kills, 3 dragon kills with the Elder Drake. So that's a lot. That is obnoxious how much burn they're gonna have here. A little bit of a laugh. As this is sort of the calm before the storm. There's like a couple things being thrown out.
There's one fight that's gonna happen. This is the climax of the movie. This is where White Lightning has to make their stand or the credits are gonna roll for Syndicate. Philly taking a whole lot of burst real quick, gonna be shot by the culling, almost killed, a little bit more damage. The cask has found him. Corrupt Hope isolated from the team once again. Double kill for Trebros Gragas. Alcantos trying to get himself out, but it will not matter. It's a 5 versus 3 with nothing to keep the Nexus alive and protected. Alcantos bound up on the very edge of the fountain. He's going to be killed by Trebro. 3 kills for the Gragas in the final fight. Promise and the rest of Syndicate looking to take the Nexus out in style, and Syndicate goes up 2-0.
from going with less kills and looking like they were behind to leveraging the minor lead they had just from their CS. That was only CS lead. They didn't have more objectives at the time. They didn't have more dragon kills. They had the same number of dragon kills. Overall, they managed to turn a small snowball into a huge one.
Fantastic work from Syndicate. They got their 2-0. They're looking incredibly strong heading into game number 3. And White Lightning has to pull off the Cloud9 reverse sweep dream just to walk away with a victory now. And look at the scoreline on Caldero. 10-1-6 on the Jhin. This is the guy these compositions need to be built around. This is the guy who can take White Lightning to that victor's pedestal. Stick around, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be back in just a few moments with game number 3 between Syndicate and White Lightning. White Lightning's got to win, or it's a Syndicate 3-0 victory. Keep it here with Houseparty Premier Esports.
All right, welcome back, guys. We're live for game number 3 now in the Premier League final between White Lightning and Syndicate to find out who's going to be the champion for this season in Houseparty Premier Esports. Syndicate is up 2-0, so White Lightning has got to win here if they want to keep playing. It's Syndicate in the blue, it's White Lightning in the red. I'm Captain Flowers here on the casting desk, joined by Deck Club Ace once again. Now, Deck, just like I mentioned last game, we are seeing the Jhin ban against Caldero this time around. That's what Syndicate is doing to stop White Lightning's chances of winning. More importantly, what does White Lightning need to do to make sure they stop Syndicate?
At this point, they need to either take away Wiener's Gnar, or they need to counter it. Last time we saw the Mundo, there's nothing necessarily wrong with playing Mundo top lane, but the problem was that they played him into a matchup where he has absolutely no way of winning. Gnar does too much damage. Wiener was smart enough as a player because of his skill level to actually build both the slow, the frozen mallet, and also the executioner's culling to deal with the fact that he has a lot of sustain. And on top of that, he could just punish him constantly. So at this point, Wiener is a huge aspect in Syndicate's lineup. They need to deal with that. Sure, Little Frosty was strong. Promise did pretty good. Started off a little bit weak, but overall, right now, it's all the supporting characters, right? It's the top laner who we don't usually see shining that much. It's the jungler. It's the support. We saw so much coming out from Alex and Theo. And, okay, there we go. Something that could potentially deal with Gnar, Trundle. And I just want to say, good play from Syndicate. They just came off a game where they kind of were looking like they were behind. They kind of gave White Lightning a little bit of a lead, what looked like, and then they turned it around. And then they banned the Jhin out immediately, which has been their comfort pick at this point. Sure, they were on champions they all liked the last game, but the Jhin has been consistently good in both games.
All right. So once again, Gordon Ramsay is going to be kept off of his favorite jungle pick. The Nidalee will not go the way of White Lightning. We're going to see him go to the other champion that I see him play pretty frequently that is not really in the meta, so to speak. He's going to be locking in the Zac this time around. A lot of engage, a lot of tankiness, a lot of dive potential especially. And now Treebro locking in the Vlad. Frosty going to be locking in the Sivir. Likely going to see Frosty taking over that Vlad. Although I guess we might see it on Wiener in the top lane as well. There's always that possibility, but I'm expecting the mid lane Vlad. What do you want to see out of White Lightning now, Deck, to really make it so they can take it to Syndicate in this game number 3? They've got to pull out something different.
They need to have some kind... Okay, I guess you could do a carry the Kog'Maw comp. I guess that works if you can sustain it. But, oh man, this is such a huge risk. This is high risk, high reward, because if Kog'Maw is allowed to farm up to the point where he becomes a monster, they have this nice team comp for defending him. They've got a lot of CC in the form of both Zac and also the Ryze, who can do a lot of damage in AoE now. They have Alcantos pulling out this Trundle, who can potentially do a little bit for him. All they need now is a potentially high utility support or some kind of tank support. They need something to protect this Kog'Maw while he's doing his stuff.
Yeah, we're not actually seeing a Lulu or a Shen or anything that typically would protect the Kog'Maw as a protect the Kog'Maw. Caldero's obviously got some guys who can help him. I mean, Zac provides peel, Trundle provides peel, Ryze can provide some peel. But it's not that VIP security duty that you expect to see. That being said, at the end of the last game, I specifically mentioned Caldero's KDA and his performance, his 10-1-7 on the Jhin, and said this is what White Lightning needs to play around. Dude's playing out of his mind today. And if there's one way to carry as an AD carry, it's with a Kog'Maw comp.
100%. Now, one thing I do want to mention, we're not 100% sure that this Trundle is top lane yet. While we do suspect that it's going to be the Trundle versus the Vlad matchup, Trundle has been seen as a support, and pretty good as a support. Turns out that a fairly short cooldown pillar that can separate the AD carry and the support is kind of a big deal. And against a lineup like Taric and Sivir, that would actually be pretty good. However, I don't know if Philly wants to bring that into this and what Alcantos would play in its stead.
I really like Sivir being picked along with Vladimir and Taric. Both those champions can get so much use out of on the hunt. I talked earlier about the LCS game I saw with the Vladimir and Taric combination where Vlad goes in, Vlad blows his entire combo, does his Tides of Blood, he does his transfusions, drops the ultimate, goes into the pool. As Vlad was in the pool, that's when we saw the Taric in the LCS match start to channel the ultimate. So then Vlad gets back up, he takes some damage, the ultimate connects, Vlad's invulnerable, he continues wreaking havoc, and then by the time they're able to refocus and try to bring him down again, he can once again go back into the pool. So this combination, along with the Sivir, I'm really liking the team composition from Syndicate this time around.
Syndicate's got a very, very heavy hammer comp right now. They've got a lot of dive in the form of the Sivir, the Zed, and the Nidalee. And on top of that, having the Vlad to do all kinds of terrible, horrible things in the middle of the fight is just icing on the cake. And we just saw Philly actually picked up the Renekton for the top lane, meaning he will actually be going that Trundle bot lane. And that means that at this point, we're going to have to rely on Alcantos potentially trying to beat out a Vlad as Renekton. That's not necessarily an incredibly impossible thing to ask for, but we've seen in the last two matchups that he has just gotten either barely holding on or getting thrashed.
Now, one thing that I've also got to point out about the Trundle pick is the Trundle pick will not go quite as far in this team comp as it will in a lot of other ones, because look at the lineup for Syndicate. Non-tank jungler, non-tank top laner. Yeah, you've got a tanky support, but what does that even matter? There's not a clutch target to use that subjugate on and seriously weaken their role in the team fight.
That's right, and I guess the ideal target would be to either ult Alex and Theo for the resistances, or to ult Wiener for the extra health that he would get from that steal. But overall, though, it's going to be very interesting in the fights because we have a lot of potential for these really brawling team fights. However, if Syndicate catches anyone out, they are dead, 100%, because everyone on this team comp relies on someone else helping them.
Yeah, you've got two different hyper carries with the Rise and the Kog'Maw, but that means that that's an extra person not peeling for the one hyper carry, as would be in a traditional Kog'Maw comp, with a Lulu middle or something like that. So no Karmas, no Lulus, no Gragas's, no Shens, no traditional everybody pile on Kog and save him. I'm a little bit worried for Caldero because when Zed and Vladimir go in, I don't think Kog'Maw's getting out.
Not at all, especially after the nerfs to the Quicksilver Sash and Merc Scimitar. There's not really much that he can do if Little Frosty decides to jump on him, let alone if Wiener decides to jump on him. Sure, okay, he can maybe out DPS Wiener, but all Wiener has to do is drop the Hemoplague on him, throw out as much damage as he can between the Transfusion and the Tides of Blood, and then just pool and watch him die.
This is going to be a hard game for White Lightning, just based off of these team compositions. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I like Syndicates a lot better. I already talked about the synergy between the Sivir and the Taric and the Vladimir, and I just don't think there's enough protection, enough hardcore dedicated protection on the side of White Lightning to keep Caldero alive against a Vladimir and a Zed.
Right, you are, and it's looking like the time is ticking away. We've got about 20 seconds here, so
we're going to be taken off, going into the loading screen just momentarily. White Lightning has got to hold their own. It's do or die. Syndicate's looking to lock them away with a 3-0 clean sweep. We'll have to see if White Lightning can keep the dream alive or if Syndicate's going home with all the glory. Keep it here with Houseparty Premier Esports, sponsored by Acquire Clothing, Matcherino Crowdfunding, and Player.me social network. We'll be right back once we load into Summoner's Rift.
Welcome back to Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen, Houseparty Premier Esports. This is the third game of our Premier League for this season. Already, we've had two really good games. Syndicate winning out 2 games, but they were fairly close for a long time. White Lightning trying to pull out a really weird team comp for this time around, but who knows? Maybe it'll work out for them. Maybe Caster's Curse will both be wrong. I am, of course, Decla based on color. Joining me is Captain Flowers on play-by-play.
And it looks like we've loaded into a pause right at the beginning. All right, that's finally going to go away. I'm pretty happy to see that Caldero has picked the best Kog'Maw skin in the game. I really love that skin because he flutters around and tries to fly, and I just think it's the goofiest thing.
I think it's adorable, but I also really like the reindeer Kog'Maw because of the alternate doot-doot sound that he makes. It is it's very amusing chasing people around.
Well, we'll have to see if he's on the chase or if he's getting chased down this game, because Syndicate has a team composition that is designed to kill him. Jungler in both solo lanes going to be looking for him the entire time. What is this Gorgonzola cheese in the bottom lane? What in the world is this?
Oh man, if this actually works, I will honestly be surprised.
No.
There's absolutely no way, but no, they're just backing. Okay, they're just trolling us. Okay.
All right. I guess we're not gonna actually get to see that after all. I was really looking forward to that.
I was expecting at least a little cheese to come out from Syndicate after 2 pretty strong wins. Getting an early lead would be very interesting to see because neither one of these teams is known as a very strong early game team comp. And I've seen Syndicate do better if they get an early lead more often than I've seen White Lightning. White Lightning tends to come back from behind a little better, but that hasn't been the case in either of these matches. They've had a slight lead that suddenly turns into a huge lead for Syndicate.
And now Corrupt Hope on the rise, going to be squaring off against the Zed that was not giving him a very fun time last game. The Cassiopeia was a little bit aboard the struggle bus, having to deal with the burst that Zed laid down. Of course, he did have a couple good counter plays onto Little Frosty Zed, but now he's going to have to do it all over again, this time on an entirely different champion. Now, what do you think about this top lane matchup here? Is Alcantos going to be useful at all if he gets bullied around in this lane?
Oh, not at all. One of the things, though, that he can do is he can win some of the trade. Ooh, Alex and Theo going in really aggressive on a Caldero.
They want to bully the Kog'Maw early. Promise looking to lay down the auto attacks one after the other. Flash away from Caldero, keeping himself alive. Billy looking to find a little bit more retaliation onto Alex and Theo. Exhaust's going to be spent from both sides. Caldero blows both summoners, though, and Promise uses neither one. Billy once again in some trouble here. Promise knows he has summoner spells available. They can still win this fight very, very easily. Couple more auto attacks might just do it, but Philly gets himself away just fine.
So this is exactly what I was expecting to see from Syndicate in the bot side. They put a lot of early harass onto this Kog'Maw because he doesn't have a healer support. He doesn't have a support that can block attacks for him. So if they put him down really low, he's already used his 1 health pot. He's at half health, has no heal, has no flash. So if at any point Treebro decides to attack, then 100% Kog'Maw is dead. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. We do see, however, Gordon Ramsay is actually hovering down on this side of the map, looking like he might want to engage down here.
He's powering up the elastic slingshot. Over the wall he goes, looking for the gank onto Promise. Flash going to be blown. An easy summoner spell pickup there.
Promise needs to actually be careful, too, because for all he knows, Gordon Ramsay could just be sitting there. They don't have a ward over the wall, so they can't see him. Now, early game, I'm expecting Alcantos to bully Wiener a little bit because early on, Vlad's not so great at sustaining against people that can also sustain. But as soon as he gets a little bit of items, he'll be really good at this. Treebro going into the early invade.
Gordon Ramsay going to get niddly as Treebro steals it away instantly.
Well, very unfortunate for Gordon Ramsay, but huge boon for Treebro here, and absolutely nothing to respond from White Lightning. Can't even try to stop him. Treebro hovering towards mid lane, but it's looking like he was just going to finish off that Scuttler. Might even be going in for a gank onto Corrupt Hope.
Of course,
just
Rise doesn't have a lot
lane.
of mobility to be able to resist these types of ganks. Flash going to be blown instantly. Still has Ghost for next time around. But man, good plays from Treebro so far.
It's a lot of good follow-up because he also acknowledged that Gordon Ramsay was relatively low. So he realized, okay, well, if Gordon Ramsay tries to counter gank, we'll just kill Gordon Ramsay as soon as he gets there. Because while Zach is kind of strong early, he doesn't have a lot of resistances early. He's got a lot of good sustain early. Very strong play from Syndicate, going for this really early dragon, picking up
This
once
is just
again.
as early as game number 1. It's the Ocean Drake start for Syndicate. They're doing this every single time they get the opportunity for it.
I was about to say, it's convenient, because it was, once again, exactly the same. Early fights, get the early Ocean Drake, and then use that extra boon on the sustain to just kind of win out the fights.
And now with that extra sustain, Wiener is going to be that much more of an immovable object in the top lane that Alcantos is going to continue to struggle with, trying to force him out up here.
The ideal combo for Alcantos is actually going to rely on him slicing into Wiener, getting him with a raged stun, and then trying to get him with that extra damage off of the AoE. Unfortunately, he hasn't been in a position to do that. Every time he tries to do it, well, never mind, he managed to get it this time, but every other time he's tried to do it, Wiener is just pooled. He just pools immediately, and Alcantos has to just sit there like, oh no, I made a huge mistake. Oh, Gordon's here.
Gordon looking to make the dive happen. Sanguine Pool going to come out immediately. Little bit early, though, so Gordon doesn't immediately draw the aggro. Wiener, of course, avoids the elastic slingshot, but sometimes you have to pick on whether or not you want to avoid that slingshot or if you want to allow him to hit it so he draws the turret aggro immediately. Treebro looking to show up, finding some decent damage onto Gordon now. This is going to be the 2v2. Gordon taken low. They won't jump in for the kill. He, of course, will have those blobs ready, and you don't want to go under the turret just to pop a passive.
He is incredibly low, so he will have to back. That does mean Treebro is just going to go in, maybe look around for a little bit of farm. He is unfortunately going to find that Gordon Ramsay cleared his entire jungle before he went over there. So not anything for him to get. He does get a really deep pink ward, though, so that's going to be incredibly useful for Wiener up here, especially because I'm considering Gordon Ramsay's probably going to want to go in. Oh,
Wiener going to be dove onto by Alcantos, looking to finish him off here. Hemoplague already been cast. Transfusion going to heal Wiener right back up. The power of the Hemoplague heal back-to-back with the Enchanted Transfusion means he just zergs right back up to full HP, and all of Alcantos' effort ends up being for nothing.
So one of the things about the semi-new Vlad, since I haven't gotten to talk about it much, most people haven't actually been allowing Vlad to get played, is that Crimson Rush in Transfusion. It gives you so much health if you use it on a champion. It gives you a huge boost to the sustain that you have. It also means that you basically just win fights.
Level 6 going to be ticked by Promise in the bottom lane. Alex and Theo still sitting on a level 4. So it's 6 and 4 compared to 5 and 5. Promise has that on the hunt if they need it to get themselves away or go in deep. Gordon Ramsay and Treebro both still going to be sitting on level 5s in the jungle. Gordon, of course, going to have a much more impactful level 6 than Treebro will.
A lot of damage going on to Little Frosty. Needs to be careful here.
Corrupt wanting to make the play. He's got Gordon coming around from behind, but Gordon walked over a pink ward, which he's now going to have to take a couple of seconds to get rid of.
It's okay, though. That is a... Oh, he didn't actually kill it. Oh, no. Oh, I think he thought he attacked it, and he didn't get the last hit off on it.
I'm not sure what just happened there, Deck, but Gordon's going to walk away from the pink ward, allow it to regenerate, and walk up towards his red buff just in time to have it stolen away. Jumps right into Treebro's waiting arms. It's level 6 versus level 5. This is not a fight that Gordon wants to take alone. That's why he's got his mid laner coming up to help him. Caldero going to be brought low. Alex and Promise looking to make the kill in the 2v2. Promise has to be careful about this one. He's already found himself the first blood. Philly now has to head for the hills, trying to escape in his own right. Treebro going to be brought low by Corrupt Hope, who gets the auto attack. Treebro wastes the flash and still finds himself on the ground. Alex wanting to grab the kill into Philly, going to force flash for flash here. 1 for 1, tied up across the map as Little Frosty has to get himself away from Alcantos now. Corrupt Hope looking to get into the fight. Popping the Ghost, he's got the double buffs, got the slow. Wiener's here, Transfusion going to be popped. Corrupt Hope still looking for more action. He doesn't want to stop this just yet. Sanguine Pool is available for Wiener if he's under a lot of pressure. Alcantos looking to flash forward, slicing and dicing his way into the mix. They're under the turret, but how much longer can they stay there? Alcantos almost taking a little bit too much damage as Wiener throws the Hemo Plague right onto the ground. I don't know if he's actually going to be able to get anything from that. I can't tell if the particle was on Alcantos in time. It is not. And everybody walks away. Pretty chaotic explosion of action across the map, Deck.
It's weird because we went from having almost nothing happening to, oh man, there's a fight going on bot lane. Oh, but wait, there's a gank going on mid lane that's not going so great because Treebro didn't manage to kill Gordon Ramsay and Corrupt Hope caught up to him. Oh no, there's now a fight going on top lane. It's chaotic, but overall, very slight, and I mean slight, lead to Syndicate because they managed to get the first blood kill, and on top of that, they also got a little bit more sustain out of their lanes. They got a little bit in terms of the mid lane, pushing out Corrupt Hope because he ran off to go do stuff. And the gank topside didn't actually happen.
Alex and Theo now trying to force the fight onto Caldero and Philly. He's got Trebro here. Cosmic Radiance already going to be cast. Alex still looking to find some more if he can. Trebro's a little bit far up. Gordon Ramsay going to be jumping in the mix. Trebro brought low. Trebro's likely going to be brought down. Getting himself away to safety. Little Frosty finds his way into the fight. Caldero's still barely alive. They're looking to get Promises on the hunt into this fight somehow. Wiener going to cancel this DP. Will not be heading into that fight with only 40% HP. Going to stick around here on the top side. Syndicate tries to make the play, but they're not quite able to find it the way they want to. Trebro always on the aggression.
Once again.
And I'm actually curious about how long this ward is going to last. Gordon didn't kill earlier. Trebro bound up by Corrupt Hope. It's a 2 versus 1, but Corrupt Hope gets himself away to safety using the power of the ult.
I have to say, that ult is probably one of my favorite visually because it just looks so cool. It reminds me
massive energy portal. It has
yeah,
a really
it just
cool
reminds
visual.
me of if you saw the Warcraft movie, Medivh's like teleport spell. It's just like a circle that you step into and then you teleport to where you were going. That's so
I actually
cool
didn't
looking.
see the Warcraft. Is it worth seeing if you're a fan of the series?
I
It looks
would
like we got a
say-
fight in the bottom half of the map. We'll have to resume this later as Alex and Theo and Promise got to be careful. Alcantos has the TP to get himself in here. Look to find 2 kills for free. Flash away from Alex and Theo. Promise trying to keep himself alive too. Alcantos under the turret won't find a whole lot. Exhaust going to be used, and now the Gator's got to be careful. He might get turned into a nice pair of boots. Philly's here to make sure he finds his escape. Trebro won't land the spear, and it's still a 1-1 game.
Didn't quite get the kill he wanted, unfortunately, but he did manage to get the flash from Promise, and he got the exhaust off of Alex and Theo for basically nothing. He did have to come down here, but overall, it wasn't really much that he lost for it. He is going to take some damage onto his tower. Whether or not Wiener's going to be able to do much, he is a Vlad. He doesn't actually have that much damage yet, so he's going to have a hard time killing this tower.
Yeah, he's going to have to throw those blood clots at it for a little while here if he wants to actually find some meaningful damage. Alcantos down about 4 CS. We're actually seeing CS across the board being almost dead even, except for the jungle.
Very slight lead over to Trebro once again. Not a huge one, but it is just enough. Now, there is, however, a 2,000 gold lead to Syndicate. Wiener's going to take a lot of damage here. Alex and Theo respecting the Hemo Plague potential for the transfusion heal and just backing off. Like,
Alcantos
you're really
realized what happened earlier. He
Yeah,
remembers the amount of healing that Wiener was able to get through the transfusion and the Hemo Plague. So he's like, you know, I already got the ultimate. That's all I'm going to be looking for anyway. Frosty in some trouble. Gank coming in from Gordon Ramsay. No amount of shadows or juke boots is going to get him away from that one. 2-1, White Lightning.
Good bait coming out from Corrupt Hope, managing to get Little Frosty to come in a little bit too close, landing exactly what he needed. Rune Prison stopping him. They're going to go straight into this dragon, potentially. Maybe not. They might be trying to bait for a kill here on the bot lane.
It will be Infernal Drake number 1 for whichever team decides to grab it. It's 1-0 in terms of dragons right now. 1 Ocean for Syndicate is the count. As White Lightning pushes up here in the mid lane, looks to find some damage onto this tier 1 and even up the turret count.
That is exactly what we want to see from them. They want to be able to at least shore up some of that gold deficit. Trebro being ganked by Alcantos, roaming into his jungle. He needs to be careful. He does back off. He's already cleared the jungle, so Alcantos can't actually get anything else. We're going to clear out that pink ward that did get placed in defense.
And look at the itemization in top lane. The difference in priority. We see Alcantos going for the Tiamat, which is, of course, an item that a lot of top laners like to build, but most will never complete for a while. You just want that AoE wave clear and extra auto attack. Well, not really an auto attack reset, but just an auto attack stagger, I guess you can call it, the active. And then the Merc Trex. While his opponent has said, you know, I'm just going to go with basic brown boots, and I'm picking up the completed Proto Belt. Much stronger itemization for Wiener right now.
Syndicate going straight into getting that dragon, realizing that it looks like White Lightning had backed off. Kind of a misplay from White Lightning. They didn't really acknowledge the fact that maybe Syndicate could get it while they were backing. But overall, working out quite well for Syndicate. As you were saying, though, the thing about the Tiamat on Renekton is it's actually very useful. I believe I've talked about this before at a previous, I think it was a semifinal match a couple of seasons back, but
The W reset.
the W reset, because the stun actually lasts quite a while, and you can reset it instantly. Uh-oh.
Alcantos trying to dive on a Wiener once more, but those pool mechanics are always there. Good reaction time from Wiener, keeping him safe as he just transfuses his way right back up to full HP. Big one's going to be charged up, takes a bite out of Alcantos, and look at the healing he gets from it. Gordon Ramsay look for the dive onto Little Frosty here in the mid lane. They've got Philly, they got Caldero. The whole squad is here, and White Lightning has closed the goal distance below 1,000.
The big problem here, too, is that Alcantos has to divide himself between building damage to actually be able to hurt Wiener in the trades and also building resistances so that Wiener doesn't get to sustain back up. He can't just build tank items because Renekton does okay damage, but he does rely on having at least one damaging item to kind of do a little bit with. Now, at this point in the game, Alcantos just picked up a Spectre's Cowl. He does have that Merc Treads, but he may as well be a Kit Kat bar. Wiener's just constantly getting healed up by him.
And now Rift Herald is the target for Syndicate. Likely going to be throwing that one onto Wiener, as usually the buff will go towards the top laner. Although, who knows, you might be able to put it on Frosty, too, if that's the guy you want to have split pushing. And the call is going to be, yep, giving it over to Frosty.
It kind of looked like they were confused for a second because they looked like they wanted to hand it over.
Everybody just started walking away.
Just like, oh, Wiener's obviously going to take this as Little Frosty, and Little Frosty didn't realize that, oh, maybe I should take it instead. But overall, that's actually quite different from the previous games, too. Oh, Wiener getting ganked by Philly here.
Philly, of all people. Once the support shows up, you know the enemy team's paying attention to you. Caldero's up here. Philly looking to make the gank, but he doesn't really find a whole lot. Wiener's actually barely even hurt, and now he's looking to force the issue onto Philly. Treebro's coming up there looking to find the kill if they can. Hemo Plague already expired. Wiener under the enemy turret. Got to be careful about that one. Pulling his way out to safety. And again, no bodies on the floor.
Wiener not even really expending much. He did use his Hemo Plague, but it's got only a 100-second cooldown. Every time he uses it, he does manage to survive quite a bit. Whether or not that's going to be the thing that's going to cause him to lose to Alcantos if he doesn't back off remains to be seen. But overall, Syndicate playing this a little bit differently than before. They are a kill down still. But they still have the objective game in their favor. They do have slightly more in terms of farm in both mid and top lane, and they've got 2 dragons. And both of them are very good dragons for their team. They've got a sustaining dragon, and they also have the extra damage from the Infernal Drake.
If you're Syndicate, though, you got to be careful about building slow advantages. Gordon looking for the dive again. Wiener getting himself away with a nicely timed pull. And White Lightning is looking for turret number 2. And Syndicate doesn't have the bodies they need here to stop it in time. White Lightning going to take the objective with some superior macro play.
Meanwhile, in the halls of bot lane, Corrupt Hope versus Little Frosty, who pushed up very far. He needs to be careful. He's taking a lot of damage here.
Frosty's going to turn it around, though. The Shuriken is above Corrupt Head, and that means his fate is sealed. Gordon Ramsay looking to jump over the wall of the Baron Pit, getting himself to safety. Treebro comes over, still chasing further on to Philly. Treebro's got to be careful. He's alone here, and Caldero and Gordon are coming right back. Exhaust used onto Treebro. He's going to have to jump away to safety. Wiener and Promise still looking to put some pain onto Alcantos here. Wiener's got his pool available. Going to pop it right there. A little bit more damage will take Alcantos down, but they're not able to find it immediately. Alex and Treebro into the 2v2 with Philly and Caldero here. Burst coming down onto Caldero, but Gordon over the wall might be looking to seal this one away before that Cosmic Radiance can channel. Treebro getting himself back, but he's still so very low. Alex flashing towards him to be able to find the heals, find the shields, find that support he needs. Stun onto Caldero. Treebro still alive, but he's got to be so very careful. Exhaust has been used. Spear comes through. Philly's going to body block it. Alex and Theo trying to bring down the hammer, but he can't quite find it. Caldero flashing and healing his way to survival. 2-2. Syndicate's going to tie the game up in terms of kills, but in terms of gold, they're up over 3K. Corrupt Hope now working his way in towards the mid lane, seeing what he can do. TP going to be channeled. White Lightning wants Syndicate blood, but they will not find it.
Unfortunately, it looks like they did not manage to go where they wanted to go with that. And exactly what you want to see from a Taric player. Going full man mode and deciding, you know what, you're just a support and AD carry. I can fight you.
Alex and Theo shows what top-tier support play looks like. Whether it was Game 1 where he was doing those amazing saves on the Karma, or now on the Taric where he's just frontlining over and over and over again, making sure that he's pushing himself to his limits. This is what supporting is. Knowledge of what you can do, knowledge of what your opponents can do, and making it so you're bringing as much utility to the team as possible.
We are seeing everything going out. Caldero slowly trying to farm up, but he's trying to keep up with Promise, and Promise has been able to farm quite well here, taking away a little bit from Little Frosty, but Little Frosty's got some farm to spare. He's his own bit ahead of Corrupt Hope right now.
White Lightning finds themselves on the back foot once more. Corrupt Hope going to be below half HP, and that's not where you want to see him. Rylai's Crystal Scepter going to be item number 1 here for the Rise. Allows him to stick to a target like glue. As Alex and Theo once again flexing those muscles on the front line. He's got Trebro nearby. Promise is here as well. Billy going to take a lot of auto attack damage from Promise on his way out as the turret continues to fall under pressure. And Trebro looks for even more. Alex and Theo going to go ahead and channel that stun. Won't really grab anybody with it. But White Lightning's got to be careful about this defensive situation they constantly find themselves falling into.
Lightning is just being pushed back here. They need to be careful. Gordon Ramsay getting caught out by Wiener and the rest of the team. So here's the engage.
Here comes the fight. Little Frosty going to be bound up by Corrupt Hope as Alcantos dives deep into the back line, but Frosty has already brought Caldero down. Trebro juggled around, gets himself away to safety, if only for a moment. Wiener almost able to find his way into the fight. Gordon Ramsay flashing for the kill onto Trebro as Little Frosty and Promise are looking for even more. It's a 2-for-1 so far. Syndicate's found the fight, and it looks like they're going to be looking to take the Dragon.
It's going to be the second Ocean Drake for them, too. This is huge. One Ocean Drake is obnoxious, right? Because you get 4% of your health and mana every 5 seconds that's missing. The second one, at 8%, you're regenerating a huge amount of health anytime you get poked low. So all you have to do, you're basically a Garen at that point.
And then if you take the third one, it just becomes kind of insane.
Oh, I've seen what happens. If you get the third one and you also have... Promise, slowly walk away from Gordon Ramsay here. If you got the third one and you also get the Elder Drake to increase it by an additional 50%, your sustain is so ridiculous. You can push a fight, lose, be at almost 0 health, walk away, and be at full health again in like, what is it, like 20 seconds?
Something crazy like that. But a quick comparison I want to make so far this game. We're seeing a good jungle performance from Gordon Ramsay. 100% kill participation, 2-0-1. Tied in farm to Trebro, who's a power farming jungle champion. Nidalee's able to farm so very quickly, along with getting ganks. So, he's doing a great job on a champion that's not very meta, on a champion that we very seldom see, compared to his opponent 0-2-1. Trebro not having a fantastic game so far, so the jungle has definitely been going the way of White Lightning.
Well, every time we've seen Trebro trying to go and unengage, he almost kills somebody, and he almost gets away. But almost only cuts it in horseshoes and hand grenades. You cannot get away from this. And they need to leverage what they have. Syndicate has 4K gold lead right now with only 1 kill ahead. But a lot of that is because of their farm and the extra tower they have under their belt. Because of that extra tower from bot lane, because of the extra harass that Little Frost has been throwing. Alex and Theo getting caught out here.
Alex and Theo in some trouble. Immediately going to be popping the Cosmic Radiance. Thomas is exhausted. Go ahead and channel the on the hunt. Caldero bound up. Heal going to be popped immediately, and it keeps him alive, but not for long. Promise flashes forward, finding the killing spree. Wiener's into the back line. Frosty grabs the kill into Philly. They've got a double kill for Frosty on a Corrupt Hope. Gordon Ramsay's trying to run away, but what's he even going to be able to do? Beautiful stun interrupts the elastic slingshot. He's popped into 4 different pieces, and all 4 will quickly find their doom at the hands of Promise and the rest of Syndicate. Alcantos is the last man standing, but what is he going to do in this 1v2 against Wiener and Little Frosty? Shadow's going to be thrown out. Alcantos trying to make the play, but all he gets is a swift death. Ace for Syndicate.
That was such good synergy between Little Frosty and Wiener. They managed so well to bait out the flash engage from Alcantos. Immediately, we saw Wiener drop into a pool and walk away, and then we saw... Little Frosty just jumped the other direction, threw a shuriken through him, and then Alcantos was just kind of stuck. He couldn't do anything.
That was disaster for White Lightning. Before that fight, score was 4-3. Game was pretty close. Now it's 9-3. Now it's a 9,000 gold lead 23 minutes in and a Baroned up Syndicate squad. That could not have gone worse for White Lightning or better for Syndicate, and Syndicate knows it.
They did manage to get an additional tower out of all of that too. So on top of getting all of these extra kills, the full team ace that they got, the extra Baron, they got an additional tower. They've got the minion waves building up, and currently there's a huge wave top lane. I know that we're probably going to see Alcantos clear that out, but both Alcantos and Caldero have to go deal with the side lanes because now with the Baron on the field, that's incredibly dangerous. Already, Little Frosty's picking people off. He's 4-1-1 right now. He's got a ton of damage under his belt. We saw him dive in by himself and go kill Caldero and then get out. No problem whatsoever. So if he wants to kill somebody, they're dead.
And he's doing it again. If Philly wouldn't have walked by right there, he would have come down, immediately found the kill on the Caldero once more. He's already got it on the Philly. No big deal. Trebro jumps over the wall to make sure that kill's secured. Even though the Shuriken's already on his head, he wants to make 102% sure that that is a dead Trundle. And now he will be dead for the next 23 seconds. Another turret falls in the mid lane, and Syndicate's knocking on the door to the mid lane inhibitor turret. Now Kantos jumping in, able to find some good CC on the Wiener, forcing out the pool immediately. Gordon Ramsay channeling the elastic slingshot. Turret still alive, but with only a sliver of its HP. Promise walking right back up, and the inhibitor line has been broken wide open. Inhibitor number 1 now under pressure as Syndicate looks to make sure they dominate this game quickly and cleanly. Hemoplague going to come down, Sanguine Pool keeping Wiener safe as Syndicate heads out. Their mission accomplished.
Really trying to get a little bit of slowdown, hopefully divide people up. Gordon Ramsay going for the paratrooper Zac, trying to get rid of those minions on that top side so that they can't repeat the same thing here. They've got a good 20 seconds or so until the next wave comes up.
And it looks like Syndicate saying Trebro has DC'd. Hopefully he reconnects in just a moment. But Deck, in the meantime, how do you even survive this as White Lightning? This is an absolutely insane gold lead just 25 minutes into the game, and they've lost an inhibitor.
They need to get a pick. They have a team that's actually kind of good at getting picks. They've got the potential to dive in with the Rise. They've got the diving backline of the Renekton. They've got the Zac. They've got all of these tools, and they don't have enough vision to actually leverage those tools. They need to catch out Promise, who still hasn't died. Once again, Promise leading the front as the AD carry and still doing ridiculous. They need to kill either him or they need to kill Little Frosty.
And somehow, I just don't see that happening. Syndicate's been so far ahead. Syndicate's been making all the plays. Syndicate's been making the right calls. And White Lightning hasn't been able to respond in time. And I think a lot of it is Syndicate has this very coherent team comp that's meant to catapult Tarek and Vlad and Zed and Nidalee right into the middle of the fight on top of these high-value targets, these high-value immobile targets like the Rise and the Cog. Vlad, Zed, and Nidalee are designed to kill these champions, while Tarek can keep them protected on their way in or their way out. White Lightning's comp is much more helter-skelter, and when you don't have something that's really well coordinated against something that is really well coordinated, it shows when a game is 10-3.
Very unfortunate for them, too. One thing I do want to say, Caldero is 0-3-0 right now. He hasn't been a part of any of the fights that have gone well, and because he's so far behind, at this point, there's not much that he can do. Promise is just destroying him every time we go in fights. We saw Promise actually flash into Caldero in the middle of 3 people and kill him and still survive.
All right, keep it here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be back in just a second, and I mean that in literally just a second, right as I was about to do my outro for the pause, because it seemed like it was going to be ticking for a while. We're back, and everything's live once more. Gordon looking to make the dive onto Syndicate. This might be White Lightning's last-ditch effort. They're trying to force the fight, but Cosmic Radiance has already been channeled. Beautiful 3-man stun. Philly's going to be taken low. Alcanto's going to be taken low. Bouncing boomerangs into the back line. Promise is unstoppable. 12-3 Syndicate. Wiener looking for the kill on the Corrupt Hope. He's found it. 3-0. Syndicate's looking for the base. They're looking for the win. And there's nothing White Lightning has to say about it. Only Caldero and Gordon remain. The Kog'Maw has 2 whole items and will not be 1v5ing today. Gordon Ramsay just going to be hanging around in the back. Might be able to channel one last slingshot to try to hold these guys at bay. But they've got Baroned up super minions. They've got on the hunt. Frosty almost suicides himself into the enemy fountain. They've taken down Nexus turret number 1. They're taking down Nexus turret number 2. White Lightning is stuck on the step to defeat, and Syndicate is going to win this game. 26 minutes in, they'll 3-0 the finals and become Houseparty Premier eSports Grand Champions on their debut season.
Talk about a season to start. I am surprised because we saw them do really well in the minor league, right? They plowed through it, no issues whatsoever. They got into the Premier League and then did basically the same thing. They just destroyed everyone that ran into them. They finally lost to White Lightning, but they got their revenge in the finals.
Syndicate was a team that when they went through minor league last season, everybody was saying, it's not is Syndicate going to be first, it's will they drop a game. And then Syndicate got to Premier League, and a lot of people were predicting, oh yeah, Syndicate's going to win. And today, Syndicate proved all those predictions right. 3-0ing White Lightning, the team that beat them twice in regular season play, Fantastic performance overall. Syndicate proves why they deserve to be the champions. Massive congratulations out to Little Frosty, Trebro, Wiener, Promise, and Alex and Theo. You guys deserve it. Wonderful showing, a lot of fun to watch. And of course, White Lightning did a fantastic job getting here to begin with. We can't forget that they are the second best team in the Houseparty Premier Esports Premier League. Corrupt Hope, Gordon Ramsay, Alcantos, Caldero, and Philly put up a valiant effort, but it wasn't enough to take down Syndicate today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast as much as we did. It was a hell of a lot of fun to cast, some really explosive moments between all three games. A lot of thanks going out to Captain Kimchi and the Jigua. Got to make sure I pronounce that right. Names with X's are so tricky. Jigua was our game host today. He was the guy making sure all the lobbies were created on time, all the players were getting there where they needed to be, all the casters were there ready to go. So we couldn't have done it without him. He's the backbone of everything. And if he's the backbone, then Kimchi must be the liver, the spleen, or the large intestine, or something else that's equally important you can't live without, because he's the streamer. Without him, we don't actually have a show to put on for you guys. So big thanks to both of them. Big thanks to Deck Club Ace for color casting here with me today. Big thanks to you guys for showing up and watching everything. We had over 100 viewers at the high point, and that's really awesome in my book. And of course, one last big thanks to our sponsors, Acquire Clothing, Maturino Crowdfunding, and Player.me social media network. These are the guys backing Houseparty Premier Esports. They want it to be as successful as we do, and we can't thank them enough. I'm Captain Flowers here for everybody at Houseparty. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you back again when our next broadcast starts, which isn't going to be for a little while. We're in the off season now, so keep it tuned here. You can follow us on social media at Facebook, on Twitter, Reddit, anywhere like that. Houseparty5v5, reddit.com/r/Houseparty5v5. That's our main forum right now, so you can check that one out if you want to keep up to date on when the next season's going to start and how you and your friends can play. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.